Last time on the Dreads of the Dragon Coast, the dragons decided that it was time to take out, or at least investigate, the creepy cult of psionicists that have taken up hold in an abandoned tomb not far from where the dwarf camp was attacked. We approached sneakily, laying very clever and cunning ambushes along the way. We decided to wait out for the next party to come down the mountain, and then we attack them and kill them, thus splitting the enemy forces in two. Very smart. After that was done, we approached their hideout. It wasn't really any good way of approaching sneakily. It was like just desert, rocks, and badlands in between. We kind of had to just kick down the door. And so we charged in. A huge battle ensued where we fought mightily and finally won, although it was kind of close actually. Both Tilraxos and Verdilith going down to the gosh darn dwarven crossbows, who do lots of damage. As it turned out, they're very accurate. So they go down, but Veristrix and Valagnith managing to finish off the fight. After that it was done, we investigated the psychic disturbance inside the tomb, which turned out to be a massive amount of blue flame sort of circulating around a giant sarcophagus inside the tomb, seemingly eating away at the wards that we determined was keeping something inside of it. Being incredibly smart and wise dragons that we are, Veristrix and Valagnith started to meddle with it. Veristrix wanted to harness the blue flame for his own amazing powers, and Valagnith just wanted to destroy things, really. So one trying to unlock the mysteries of the flame, and the other one trying to sort of ruin the ruins. The runes. And that was done. The runes exploded, the flame exploded, and out from the tomb rose an undead horror that cowered the young dragons. We instinctively knew that this was death incarnate for us and could not stand in the way of it. Luckily, we didn't have to, as it walked out of the tomb with serious purpose, wresting the corpses of the battle along the way and taking them with them as walking dead as it headed out into the valley. It disappeared, and we were very happy for it, although most likely we have to handle that someday. Our dwarven companions came back and were given orders to start fortifying their ruins and make it into a temporary base as we, continue to explore the valley. And that is sorta where we stopped, I believe. We also felt a significant evil presence looking down upon us as we, as the rooms broke and the giants popped out. So we don't know what that is about, but it doesn't sound very good, and we will probably see more of that down the line here. But I think that is the summary of the session. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that done, you also completed quite a lot of your current goals, which of course frees up currently 4 slots for new ones, should you have found something you want to put in there.
I think...
Yeah.
Yes. I think that making some contact with the monastery is a decent idea. Not that I think anything good will come of it. It seems to be run by a madman who turns into a bear and attacks people in his spare time.
That is not true.
It isn't?
There's a madman turning into a bear who stays there.
I thought I at least suspected that the signs of battle along the mountain ridge here was because of him. But
not the head of the monastery. It's someone who was staying there.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the head of the monastery who was crazy.
That could still be true.
Yeah, we just don't. I don't recall anything suggesting it yet, but maybe.
Well, we'll see.
The only thing the dwarf suggested is that we treated them better than the head of the monastery treated like their underlings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was talk about like shadow monks or something.
That's bad. Well,
I have no idea what's going on, but I suggested that like the goal I had in mind was to befriend the Nathlin monastery, and You want to have a good chat with someone.
Sure. I think that is a goal to pursue, at least investigate it, because it is very close to our lair, and if it's dangerous, we need to, start handling that situation.
Sure, I'm fine with that. I don't see any issue with that. We need to figure out what's around us, and that's the one way to do it. I don't have any particular opinion of how, so that's fine.
Rahal, Sheep, you folks and I, we chatted a bit about goals. Someone I'm interested in hearing from, though, is Valky. As Manaki noted at the end of last session, we have 4 empty goal slots, and he quipped that would be like 1 for each of us. Do you have any goal input?
Well, I mean, one of the things that Veristrix is interested in is the cave system in the mountain that if I recall, I'm not sure if I'm right, but the dwarves try to find a way around the mountain. And the caves were a way to do so, except that they are infested with whatever horrible monstrosities, and they need to be sorted out in some way or form. And it doubles as I'm very interested in caves, but also I need somewhere to stay, and it sounds like the perfect place for him.
I can bring that back to memory, I suppose.
Sure.
The dwarves you are friends with here are the remnants of basically a group of traders sent from Thunderhome to recover a bunch of blessed cats, as it were. They were sent here, and then from here to Nathland to the south, while a larger group of their group were sent to investigate this valley for potential. Basically, the dwarves had old maps and stuff that showed that from here there should be a path going under the mountain range to the other side, which would speed up any travel quite significantly, as they wouldn't have to go all the way around the northern edge of the mountains.
Right.
However, it seems that those dwarves, or at least part of them, found this tomb, got spell scarred, and then flipped their shit and turned into horrible cultists that tried to infect everyone else with horrible cultist magic. So that was sort of a bad time for them. But allegedly around here there is some cave that should have a connection to the other side of the mountains that, if could be found, would make a much faster route than going north around.
Yeah, Veristrix would be very interested in investigating it to some degree. Not to explore it completely, but at least get a feel of where it is, what could be in it, and whether it is safe enough to utilize in some way.
And yes, about the basically there being 8 goal slots, and slowly I would like it to be 2 goals per character-ish, is because as you grow up, I mean less to a lesser degree now, but probably to a greater degree when you get bigger and more important and live further from each other, is that you will have goals that sometimes range in pretty different directions, and it might be hard to sometimes motivate yourselves to go and help someone else conquer some stupid copper mine somewhere that you actually don't care about. And I guess copper mine might be a bit small for them needing your aid, but bear with me. So them having a goal for going and getting the copper mine means that you actually, as a player at least, have some reason to be motivated to go and help them do this thing. As such, I would like to begin having the sort of going for the thing that you basically should aim for, having 2 of these goals be ones that your character is particularly interested in, sort of at a time.
Right. If that's the case, then if we go with the train of taking 1 of the 4 slots per character here, one of the goals then would be for Veristrix is to investigate that cave. For sure.
Investigate or find? There might be some difference in how difficult you want things to be.
Well, we have other things to do. Find might be an easier goal for now. And that's readily achievable, I think. So we'll have find for now.
What about conquer?
That is a probably hard goal that would take quite a long time. So
It's probably
perhaps
the natural next step.
Yeah.
It's like this cavern is actually the Underdark, so it'll take a while.
I would find the promised passage.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Find as in locate.
Yes.
and verify, I guess.
That it exists. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy goal.
Cool.
Yeah.
As for the other goals, I believe Grimith, Rahal, and I discussed, we had 5 in the end, I think. There was the Nephilim Monastery. Telraxos would apparently like to fortify our current, although probably temporary base. Malignif wanted to find some stuff for the dwarves to use, because the stuff they're using currently is appalling, and one of them is like naked for reasons that need not be discussed. So they should really get more stuff to actually be useful to us. There's the madman who runs around the forest apparently, and reclaiming the caravan from the orcs. That is 5. We've got 3 slots. Out of those 5, the one I care least about is fortifying this base.
Like, the one I care most about, and you can add this to the list of goals, Manaki, is to befriend the Nephilim Monastery. Not just meet or get in contact, but I want to befriend them.
All right. Bearing in mind that friendship has a loaded
Yes.
relation. All right.
Yes.
That sounds like a medium goal to me.
Like, they're inferior, but they could be of some value, and despite their inferiority. I'm a dragon. Everything is
Medium
inferior
goal,
to me.
befriend the Nephilim Monastery.
And if they don't want to be amicable or even not hostile, then we'll figure that out when they fire a ballista at me. And then the goal will be deleted, and then it will change.
Yeah, I think for me and Belignov, the goal I'd like to have would be finding supplies for the dwarves. Specifically, not only finding supplies, but like in the direction of weapons and armor. And also having them actually use them and not just hiding in a bush while we do the actual work. I want to equip the dwarves and have them fight something.
I would like to equip the dwarves, but I don't necessarily want them to fight anything. They're too precious to waste in combat currently, I think.
You've really taken the these adorable pets approach. They're so weak and helpless, and they need to be sheltered away like children.
They are adorable. No, they're crafty. See, that's the thing with dwarves. These dwarves are clearly not made for fighting. They're made to make money. That's what these dwarves are for. So
they've done such a great job of making money up to this point.
Yeah, well, they have a rough patch. I understand. A dragon can be patient if the circumstances warrants it. And I think honestly they are too valuable to throw into a fight. At least we need more before we can do it. If we have like 100 of them, then we can have 1 or 2 with us.
Tilraxha is very protective of his pets.
These are, he sees them as his subjects.
But maybe we can enable them to fight the orcs and reclaim their caravan.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, if we go after the orcs, which are far away and probably very dangerous, because they're orcs, then maybe we can bring them with us as like artillery support or something. But
that's probably good enough for my purposes here. So step 1, get them some proper weapons and stuff.
Crossbows and an axe, because those crossbows, oh boy.
I mean, they already have, like, they each have their warhammer. They're not particularly well-trained crossbow dwarves. they're more, I mean, melee weapon, shield. Picked up some shields from here, but this place you captured has enough supplies for them to be, like, they don't have to wear ragged clothes now.
Okay.
You killed a lot of people, and beyond that, this place had the supplies they needed to, well, essentially bring that group of people through the tunnel in the mountains.
Okay, so we are fairly well supplied then.
They have what they need at this, unless you have like more specific equipment.
No.
I need all the maps.
In that case, I would care more about reclaiming the caravan from the orcs eventually. Not something we have to do right away, but it's definitely a goal I want to have. They have stuff. I want that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So liberate the cats.
Yes. If you put it that way, it sounds hilarious.
That is exactly as intended by the
Liberate
Ranger.
the cats for the dwarven caravan. Yes. That is a hard goal.
Fast forward to like 2 months later, and Valignyth just is like sleeping beneath like a pile of cats. Like pokes the head up.
Yes.
He
That
tried
leaves,
disassembling one.
Oh
I suppose that
no.
leaves 12 Axis's goal then. If you're happy with what's there, we can leave it blank, of course. But
No, the thing is here, like, I would like to fortify the base. Chiraxos is protective. He is a creature of domination. He realizes that he has a militaristic mind. He realizes that their position is fairly well off, considering everything. But you know, we took this place, so something might roll up when we are gone to do it again, and the dwarves need to be able to protect this while we're gone. You know, they are the line of defense we have here. So, like, traps, anything to slow intruders down, maybe, like, you know, an extra gate to actually close it. I mean, it seems that, like, the gate has been blown apart here, but maybe we can fashion something else to close off the tomb and secure it. This is something that is mainly crafting related and something that we can't necessarily do, but I feel the dwarves might be able to if they have the correct resources and tools.
it would be a goal like that would be something like find ways to secure the spell plague tomb.
Right.
Because yes, the dwarves can certainly pile some rocks and whatnot, but there are only 4 dwarves. Finding them more help would, for example, work for a goal like that. Like bringing them some sort of resource that's not around here. I mean, they have some. They can. I guess. Really, it's hard to pull a log up this current incline, but
We're pretty strong.
you know, I mean, they don't want to die.
They have to keep in mind that like those gigantic birds of prey that would swoop down to pick us off
Yeah.
could do that to them too.
Yeah, so stuff like that needs to be kept away. What happens if like a huge bird of prey land here, you know, and thinks that everything in here is a snack?
Well, it doesn't. They don't come indoors.
Well, you know, maybe one is suddenly brave enough. Stuff like that.
Wyvern.
Yeah, the mountain.
Sure. You just want to word it in a way where you can say when it's. You want to be able to say, is this goal complete? And if you say maybe-ish, then
Okay,
it's
so all right. So I see 2 main options then. One would be to place traps and other like methods of impediment around the tomb to make it nasty and difficult to get up here. Especially from the road. The birds maybe don't go inside, so might not be the most problem, and it's difficult to protect from sky things. But you can lay traps. You can do the road up here very treacherous because we fly. We don't care. You know, we can fly in and out. So trapping the tomb and the approach might be one, and then I mean yes, underlings or recruit more people would certainly be a great boon. I don't know exactly where we can find more people currently. We haven't really heard anything about other like sentient people here except the monastery.
It may end up tying into Sheep's goal of reclaiming,
Yes.
like liberating the cats, because the orcs will probably have like slaves/food
That's
that
true.
they've maintained.
That's true.
And so by like liberating the cats, you recover them, and then the dwarves have extra help here because, well, there's more of them, and it's not just Ford trying to like take a few like rocks and like log.
Right.
Sure. You want to make a goal like gather like
Gather
like
gather allies, gather underlings,
servants.
servants.
I mean, that's not what he's not really looking for allies,
No,
right? Is he?
gather servants.
Right. Multiply pet horde.
Explore,
Gotta
expand,
catch them all.
Tyraxos like squints looking at the dwarf and it's like, how fast do they breed?
Gather servants. That's a medium goal. It's things I can do. Whatever.
More servants.
Probably find some. Yeah. I will post current goals. Yo. So I'll see them and know what extra rewards for doing. As each of your dragons have set themselves like, yes, I want to liberate the cats. You know.
It's a very specific goal.
I'd like to imagine Blackguard just cannot grasp why anyone would buy cats, so he wants to see for himself.
Or like he assumes that if like all of this hubbub is about cats, those cats have
Oh, yeah,
amazing. Like
gold-plated cats.
yes, like the poops platinum or something. Like it's got to be the most amazing thing ever.
He'll find out that is the one thing he cannot destroy.
The cats are indestructible.
Did mention that she too was surprised that anyone would attack a caravan openly carrying just cats.
Yeah, it is strange.
An armed caravan at that too. They fought for those cats, which
The orcs might have felt the same way. There's got to be something more valuable there, right? We just go there and like the cats are just smothered all over like the orc camp, like the orcs.
Yeah, it's like, what kind of idiots have this kind of convoy for cats?
Yeah, at least they don't have a rat problem anymore.
The orcs don't, yeah.
Yeah.
I hate those rats. I mean, again, you have noticed that there's not a lot of small critters.
Cats are running rampant.
Wouldn't that be something dragons trying to hunt down and capture cats?
A noble pursuit, to be sure.
The other thing is that you know, this is sort of a beginning of a new thing that's not really too important yet, but I feel like it's good to begin having it in the background, which is of course the generation of heroes. For now, first level, as you rise to second level, there will be generated a hero, which is some sort of adventurer who in the future will come and have some bone to pick with you. Now, it's most obvious that, of course, you know, one of these people who were slain as part of this cult was not actually dead, and has managed to escape out of this valley to someplace else, where he will be licking his wounds, he or she, and be planning revenge for you taking away the epic destiny of becoming a cultist.
My epic destiny of becoming
I
a
guess
cultist.
I'd feel upset too if I were cheated out of my level 21.
You know,
I was so close to.
there is that spell scarred.
Yeah, that's what he dreamt of.
Yes, and in that, to basically make heroes more interesting, because I think just having a random character running around isn't as interesting as having a character whom we can have like an idea of who he is. Basically, I'll be using this character builder to randomly generate a hero with the necessary things. We know that this person is a dwarf, and given the parameters of the game, will be a warlock of a dark pact. And beyond that, there's going to be 2 randomly generated traits that modify the hero, and sort of are things that the dragons might remember about them, because you are dragons and you cannot be asked to care infinitely about these pitiful mortals who think they're important in the grand scheme. Here, dwarf, yes. Excellent. So if I could have some of you, one of you, or 2 of you, roll a d20.
Oh,
We
I'll do
can
it.
see what kind of traits we'll come up with this. Right. So, all right. So a 3 means that this hero is a faker. They don't actually have a spell scar.
Yeah. Oh my god.
They are just acting as if they do. And at this point, they've lied to everyone so much that they just don't have any way out, and so they're just sticking with it.
Double cheated out of his destiny.
They will be at minimum level 1, but otherwise 4 levels below all other heroes.
That's great.
Because they actually have no idea what they're actually doing.
Great. What a fantastic villain.
How do you fake having a warlock pack? Like how does
you
that
know,
work?
You know,
How do you do it? That's the flavor.
Let's,
Lots of wands and
let's ask Gesh.
scrolls and loud screaming and whatnot. But it is all fakery. They are completely. So each hero gets 2. Later they might get more as they do go adventuring and do little things. Of course, this is again something that will come up more later when we begin to sort of take a more overview look at things. But these heroes will go around and do things and get involved in your plans and whatnot. But let's see what the other one is. If someone else wants to roll it and see what.
Oh, Sonny could roll like my tech rolls would roll for me.
Alright.
What have you got, Manaki?
So you rolled another 3. Double faker.
Yes, mine is
double
8.
faker. You fake so much you actually become
He
real.
faked being a dwarf too.
The hero is friendly,
Oh.
which means that they will befriend another hero and form an adventuring party to leech off of them. The thing is, there is no other hero. So the first other hero we generate, this guy will just like jump and just hang on to them like a leech.
Oh my god.
Sticking with them forever.
What is this guy doing in this evil cult? Like,
This is great.
he's like, I just like people.
Well, he
really.
was part of this crew, and everyone joined the cult, and he was like, I guess,
Alright, sure.
man, I'm like too chick. I don't really want to get like burned. It's like a guy in like a some sort of gangster group, like a gang, and he has like tattoo sleeves.
He was running out of time where he'd have to commit to the spell scar,
Yeah.
basically just like be killed, and
But he's really mad at you guys because you killed all his cool friends, and he was cool for the rest of his life. So, yeah.
you know, he's thinking about operating against us. But he realizes that we killed all of his friends, and so like, fuck.
So let's just randomly auto build this guy. Go. And get a small idea of who this person is. Looks like it is Morgran, the dwarven level 1 warlock.
Faker.
Yeah, completely fake. Not actually a warlock, just acting as if they are.
Smoke and mirror.
Actually a bard. Faking a warlock.
Yeah. So that's our first. It's our first hero who, in the future, will come up to maybe like try to break in and steal your treasure or take their revenge or whatever heroes do against dragons. I mean, you know. Not the best trait to have.
I think it's brilliant.
To be fake. But I guess it makes sense that they have not moved and will not move for a while. For them to be actually like not level 1 will take a while. All right, sure. Yeah, we have a hero.
Yeah, hero.
Yes,
the
hero.
Faker.
I think. Like,
You know what we...
I'm interested in hearing about the other traits of that list.
There's quite a lot. I have a unique one too. That if we roll 20, they'll get like something that'll then be replaced afterwards with something else. So if one person has it.
We need...
I have tried to be as creative. It's taken a while to get 20 of these, but I'm pretty happy with what.
Looking forward to leveling up.
What we need is to set up like a tavern, you know, call it like the Dragon's Cry or like the Bog Standard or something, and that's where these heroes gather, and we have our secret agents in there so we can like keep an eye on them, you know, spy on them.
But you know, they might run around, and if like you piss off Cormier, they might sponsor a hero to come and like.
Oh, of course. I'm
beat
just
you
saying,
up or something, you know.
I'm just saying that every hero goes to a tavern. If there's a tavern, they go there, you know.
These guys are player characters.
Yeah.
That's effectively what they are.
Yeah.
And so they will be running around being dicks and illogical all over the place. That's at least the idea. Because dragons have to deal with that, you know? Annoying, pesky humans who for some dumb reason thinks that they can fake their way to a spell scar and now run around with a fancy... Like, he probably colored that in with a pen. And, you know, and he's there, and he's, like, threatening you and wanting to take your money and beating up your servants and whatnot. Yeah. But, eventually, we'll have a group of those guys, and they will come and do things. You know.
I like to think he got a spell scar tattoo because he thought it was cool, and then people started actually like recognizing him. It's like, oh, you should join your cult. He's like, okay, sure.
Yeah. With that, though, I think that's the sort of the pre-game things. Took a little bit of time, but yeah, it's a nice morning. You've rested. Your dragons are feeling well out. You probably explored what is to see in this place. I mean, it is a dusty old tomb. Lots of sand sort of blowing down, or like dust more than sand from the mountains. Big birds circling. There's been dwarven rations. You can hunt some mountain goats. You know, some slightly smaller, like pheasants. Not the most ostentatious stuff. So, you know, how have your dragons been spending their like time, basically? We know that some of them scouted a little bit and like asked questions and whatnot last time, but in general, how is it for the others to hang around you?
No, I think, given the events of psychic disturbance in the tomb opening, I think Veristrix has certainly a lot to process, first of all. Second of all, to plan. So I feel like most of his time, you know, he might seem immobile, but his mind is certainly ablaze with questions and curiosities. Might be hard to actually get his attention, but yeah, that's probably what he would be initially doing as they wake up from the slumber or the off times when they go hunting or whatnot.
I'm waiting for him to slip into old habits and try to escape from this place.
You know, he woke up and he's like, it's open, and he like flits out the front only to realize it's where he was. So old habits die hard, as they say.
My character is exactly the same as she has been for all of these years. The only difference is now that she has a bed that, you know, she's taken like mosses and grasses and like dried dead bark from all like the ruined forest and like all the trees that were devastated when the undead giant like made its leave, and like has compiled it on this mammoth like ruined stone door, and it's turned into a sunning perch for her. And now and then she like looks over to Raxus's pets and fires a question or like a comment, you know, like curiosity, because trying to understand these pets and how they work, it's something to pass the time. Doesn't require that much effort. It's interesting to hear someone else talk to her besides Basarek. Bone Dad was nice and all, but Bone Dad obviously had an agenda going on. You know, these creatures, not as powerful as Bone Dad. Just let the days go. Goes out for a mountain goat now and then. That's really fun. Hunting. Good times. Feels like there's something better that she could eat. But then she'd have to really travel. This is fine for now. She can find other people to get her food later.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the sun. She's supposed to have like more greenery around her, but this will be fine for now. It's a step in the right direction.
It certainly is a place where it's cold in the night, but when the sun sort of passed the midpoint and sort of is baking down across the face of the tomb, it is nice and hot on those rocks. Nice. Don't get the morning sun though, but that evening sun, that's where it's at.
Yeah, almost like rumbling out like a low rumble of like pleasure against like the door whenever that evening sun hits. Like the first time that hit, like, oh yeah, like stretch into that. That's exactly the same as I have been.
How unexpected. Valigner Feuersbart would have mostly done two things. One, he would have tinkered a bit, actually. As he has seen that dragon scales, at least in our current age, are all but impervious, and even the most simplistic of crossbows is actually really scary. He has been looking around for ways to make sure he doesn't get shot as much, to really be as impervious as he feels like he truly should be. And his solution was basically to once again just take something from the dwarves, in this case a sort of like metal breastplate looking thing, and strapping that to his tail. He was very content with his discovery that if he had a metal bit on him that he could use to block other metal bits, like bolts, maybe that helps. You know, he hasn't tried it yet, But next time there's someone with a crossbow, he'll see how well that works, and if it doesn't, he'll think of something else. In addition, especially Verdilith probably, sitting at the entrance and being home a lot of the time, I imagine, would often hear like the sound of metal on rock as Verdilith repeatedly drags around the braziers in the temple for no apparent reason other than to find a spot that suits him better.
This comes as zero surprise to Verdilith. Used to Verdilith just like doing all these useless like expenditures of energy. Like, you know, like her head will like twitch at like one moment, like an eye will open. She'll like look towards the entrance, think to herself, Verdilith again. Close her eye.
At one point, it might seem like Verdilith is trying to drag one of the braziers up the stairs and outside, but that doesn't quite work.
Well, Tyraxos have been doing a few things. One of the first things he did was to clean up, some of the tomb. If there was like a wall or like a niche, an alcove perhaps, with some nice like artwork or something in it, a fresco or a statue or something etched into the wall that caught his attention, he would have decided that corner would be his, and he would also have piled up all the treasure that the tyranny of dragons have assembled so far, and like meticulously counted every coin, let it up in nice little piles, it's all very orderly, and he spends a lot of time like staring at it intently and then like moving one coin just so to make it like aesthetically pleasing, putting the orb, is the orb better here? Well, it can't, and then the lighting changed because Verdilith like drags around the braziers all the time, so like he.
I was going to say there's probably like a few times where like the braziers have been dragged, like the coins move a little bit, and deep like stare.
Yeah, exactly. You can just see like a shiver go through Tyraxos when one of his coins like goes out of alignment. He's like, but he can't, can't really say anything. But yeah, so there's like a very meticulously arranged treasure pile in a corner, with like the orb perched just so on top of it, because it is like the crown jewel in our collection so far.
Don't drop it.
Oh no, that is, death to anyone who touches the gold. The dwarves have been instructed that, they must protect the gold at all costs. This is very important. Tyraxos doesn't know exactly why it's important, but it feels very important to him. There is something in his dragon soul that is just like, yes, this is very important.
It is our nature to uselessly collect treasure for no purpose other than it just happens.
Yeah, it glitters. When he doesn't do that, he would have looked up and down the mountainside a bit, see if he could find a higher perch higher up, because he does like being high up. He likes to watch the sky. Mindful of the birds, however, he hasn't really ventured that far up because they look kind of big and kind of scary, and he's not, he would never admit to being actually scared of a bird. But, careful. Certainly, and mindful of his surroundings. But if there is a higher perch, he would have been sitting up there a lot, especially on clear days, like just watching the sky. And if for some reason it would be a thunderstorm, he would definitely be out there. There is something like in that element that draws him to it. Apart from that, probably conversing with the dwarves. Trying to instruct them, or at least make them use the crossbow. So like, basically trying to train them. He doesn't really know anything about military tactics or like how these creatures necessarily fight, but he saw what those crossbow bolt dwarves did to him and Verdilith, and he's like, yes, that is what we need, clearly.
It makes perfect sense that this dragon would inherently assume that, like, I know how this shit works, based because fucking dragon, of course.
Yeah.
Like, I saw others of you creatures using them, so you must be able to use them.
Yeah, like we certainly don't fight like these creatures fight. We use strange draconic powers and essence of our like blood and soul and claws and stuff. Clearly these creatures don't have that, but these crossbows, you know, they seem very useful, and so the dwarves really need to start learning them. So he would like oversee them, like sitting on one of the rocks, putting up some like some boxes or like something to shoot, you know, for them, and then try to instruct them, but probably more like ordering them to hit, you know what I mean? And trying to have conversations with Ranella Coldbrew, like what type of weapon training, like basically trying to militarize them a little bit.
This probably helps to remind the dwarves that every day they must be fearful for their lives because they could be eaten at any moment.
Ranella, you know, uses a great axe. Generally, the dwarves here using their warhammers, but they will humor the dragon and try to use crossbows, though their aim does not seem what he remembers it from the other dwarves.
Yeah.
That his dwarves are not as good as those ones.
He will squint disapprovingly at this. Why aren't my dwarves as good as the other dwarves?
Was it the cult?
Yes.
Should I recruited cult?
Yes. Cultist dwarves. And he's generally trying to socialize with the dwarves because they are his minions, they are his servants, and you know, they need to respect him. They need to follow his every command, of course, because he's the dragon here, he's the leader. But he's not necessarily a cruel master. He just likes the hierarchy a lot, you know. And so he's interested in their well-being, even if he doesn't necessarily know what that means for these creatures.
Really, these dwarves have lucked out. They encountered a dragon who's actually genuinely trying to understand how they function.
Yeah, I mean, Ranella's gently sort of in conversation prodding him. I mean, these dwarves seem to be pretty proud for dwarves even. And speaking with them, you'll learn something you lot perhaps did not realize earlier, or did not know the distinction of. These dwarves see themselves as gold dwarves, or true mountain dwarves, compared to other dwarves in the north who are known as like rock dwarves or hill dwarves or a lot of other derogatory terms. And then this is perhaps why, you know, dwarves, dragons, you might have some inherent knowledge that dwarves don't get along with orcs. That's generally how that works. They don't like them because orcs always raid their old tombs and stuff, but that's in the north, on the Sword Coast and sort of the northern Faerun. In the south, there is a great dwarven realm, the Deep Realms, the realm of the Gold Dwarves. Currently, it's a little awkward because their whole ceiling collapsed into a giant hole. But they still have a great dwarven empire. Basically, the great dwarven empire that never fell. A story tells of it, and she'll tell this, you know, perhaps in a way because she thinks it'll impress the dragon to like, you know, yes, my people were very crafty and skillful. That once upon a time, when the northern realms came and basically were to meet with the southern realms, the southern dwarven king traveled north to see what all this fuss was about. How come his northern cousins were so bothered with orcs and whatnot? Like, what was the problem? What was their issue? And it said that he was so wealthy, this golden king, that he sort of had the cobblestones of the whole road across the northern spine of the world covered in gold as he walked upon them, and did not bother to pick it up after him because it was still such a smidgen of his wealth.
Wow.
When the northern dwarfs saw this, they were outraged. How dare he spend the ancestors' wealth on such a thing as this, such a pointless gesture? And he himself was bemused that these northern hill cousins would care so much about so little. He went home unimpressed. They clearly did not understand. You know, they were poor excuses for dwarves, while they got very mad that this northern king was so wasteful.
Right.
She, of course, explains this as it being like, you know, they're miserly, the northern dwarves.
Yes.
They don't They don't. They, if they had the means to create as much wealth as the Southern Realm, then they wouldn't have this issue. In fact, Moradin liked the Southern Dwarves so much, he'll say, that he gave them a blessing 100 years ago, the blessing of thunder, which means that most dwarves of the Southern Realms always have twins. Because Moradin wanted more of them.
Oh boy.
It's one of the reasons that Thunderhome exists. It's one of the colonies that had to be made because there were too many dwarves.
Wow.
And so they had to leave and go and be here. Many of the dwarves in Thunderhelm, and certainly Vernila herself, has basically a twin that stayed, and they were the twin that left.
Huh.
Oh,
Out in the world. It is great dwarven empire. And, they are very happy.
Tyraxus is fascinated by the story. He doesn't.
They're not threatened by orcs or other savages, because why would they be? The orcs have never posed a threat to them. The northern dwarves are afraid of them because they lose to them constantly, and southern dwarves have very little respect for them. What they truly hate, perhaps with the same fervor as northern dwarves hate like orcs and goblins, is like illithid and aberrations, because those are the only things that limit their expansion in the Underdark. Is that they actually live right on a giant amount of hives of illithid.
Well, that's unlucky for them.
They have a long time fought many wars with the illithid, because
it's like we built our golden realm, but we also built it on top of an illithid colony. And you're like, oh, god damn it! Like, didn't you check?
The other reason why
it has been an unfortunate,
more of them.
Yes,
unfortunate situation.
Well, this is certainly interesting. I mean, Tyraxus isn't impressed necessarily, because how could a dragon be? but like all of the just that they call us as gold dwarf is certainly interesting. His eyes light up, and he seems to contemplate what this might mean, sort of sizing them up and down. Do they have gold inside them? But
I know how to find out.
Yes, he's almost about to call Blackguard over to be like
stories of money built into the roads further to the north.
Yes, money. Well, I mean, this is excellent. This is exactly what Tyraxus wanted to hear, because if the Golden Dwarfs are so proficient in making wealth, it was a wise decision to save them and have them work for him instead.
She certainly agrees, and it does seem like part of her is beginning to believe that this is not some sort of ruse, not some sort of cruel dragon joke.
No.
And that she might not actually be eaten, and that maybe this dragon actually could help her do some good business.
Oh, for sure.
Though she doesn't this. It's certainly not what she expected to have happen, and she doesn't really There's apprehension there. What's the catch? When is the trap gonna snap?
Well, the trap is called taxation, my dear.
she only, she has to. She just goes along with it. But if he sounds amiable to bringing back the cargo and allowing them to finish their journey north of the mountains, then I mean, if they could find that way through, then that's probably, if they could keep this valley safe and the road outside safe from all the bandits and such, if they could find the fast way through the mountains, then taxation would be a welcome change from, getting in this situation.
See, this is exactly what Tyraxus wants to hear. All of this sounds wonderful to him.
The gold dwarves are very pragmatic in that respect. As long as he's not like a squid monster,
no,
they can generally work together.
This is wonderful news. Absolutely wonderful. I mean, again, Tyraxus is not nice, but he'll try his best to be, again, reasonable here, as reasonable as he can be.
And it does make sense that they would suspect this to be a dragon trick, because dragons got to entertain themselves somehow, right?
I mean, yeah, it's certainly
stories of dragons are not as road protectors usually. It's more like rampaging monsters that destroy everything anyone ever loved.
Well, there might still be that, but as far as these gold dwarves go, as long as they are useful and as long as they follow his wishes and bring riches, Tyraxus doesn't see any problem here. He's
and now you know how to really punish them, and it's not to eat them, but to throw them into an illithid colony.
Yes, yes. Find an illithid hole and just toss them in there.
Verstrix is writing all these ideas down.
It's like yes.
Yes,
you also learn through the conversations that Thunderhome is not exactly a mining colony, because there actually isn't, like, these mountains here are notoriously poor for mining. What it is a roost, more so. It is sort of a city that was made in order to capture hippogriffs. Because gold dwarves love hippogriffs, and it just so happens that on the other side, like 15, 20 years ago, the earth of the prairie exploded, and now there's a big gaping hole of plague-changed Underdark, and a lot of earth motes floating about that have a lot of Underdark minerals in them, and the dwarves are very eager to get their hands on that stuff. That could be incredibly valuable, but you have to fly to really, get up there and like mine it. So there's sort of a step-by-step process for this incredible wealth.
Well, we have a new goal, guys, is to make a flying sky mine.
Wow.
I like the sound of that mod, actually.
Oh my god.
Eventually, at some point in the future, I can just make it float anyway.
A dwarven sky fleet.
Just imagine, my lord, what the dwarves would say if they discovered there was someone capable of retrieving such minerals and metals.
Yes.
Just like your fucking dwarven hippogriff army. Welcome to the world of Warcraft.
Alright, yep, that's what I do. But yeah, these sounds wonderful. All of this is a glorious future to Tilraxos.
Good session, thus far.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like the moment your conversation involved metals and minerals, the permanent screeching of
the braziers come to a halt.
Just stops.
Silver head Valignif poking his head up the top of the stairs.
Did someone say metals?
You can just see the orb glow with the emotions of curiosity in the air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Verdilith doesn't have to move. She's already here where the conversation is.
It's the best way to be.
Yeah. With that, though, the dragons want to embark on some sort of trip out into the valley. Then they certainly have the time, and they're fairly well rested, dragon.
Yes.
So, then the question is, where would we like to do? I guess the monastery. That makes sense to me.
It's close.
That's a good goal.
Might as well go and take a look.
What bearing is this monastery from here? Okay.
Southwest.
Southwest.
Well, not southwest because of where we are in relation, in the actual mountains, but we're going to be traveling down into the valley.
Yeah.
Down into the valley, and then basically, oh no.
What have you done?
You moved down into the valley, and then up on the other side.
I see.
Not like the other side, but
okay.
It's really is the closest landmark to
And the cave, the province passage, so to speak, is this on the way, or is it further down the valley?
The dwarves don't know. If the cultist found them, none of them really talked about that with you.
Right.
But it's somewhere here in this valley. I mean, on the greater map of the Dragon Coast, this valley is not that huge.
Very small.
But
they got this far at least, so it should be somewhere.
It's in this valley somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, we keep an eye out while they go to the monastery. See if he sees anything. He has knowledge of how caves should look.
Yeah. I mean, the walk down, see the branches have been taken. Being Verdilith, it probably is the closest ones that have been taken to make a
yes,
leaf bed, and then just down into the forest again. Sort of the pine trees around, still cracked and broken open. Though it certainly clears as you begin to raise on the other side. It seems that there's been very little fighting there. A slight bit of dried out creek again. Most of these river areas probably mostly flowing when it has one of the rare sort of heavy rains in the mountain.
Verdilith will look pointedly at Valignif during this trip. Now, you're not going to upset my wonderful conversation with potential pets, are you?
You are implying that I do things recklessly, which I disagree with.
Verstrix is furiously nodding behind.
Verdilith looks over his tricks for confirmation.
Yeah. Nod.
And then thinks back to what happened in the tomb and thinks that maybe Veristrix is just as reckless.
a calculated recklessness.
Yes. If you could wait to eat them until I learn a bit more about what's going on in this valley. She holds up a claw, almost wagging it at Valignif.
I haven't eaten anyone yet.
She blinks. Wow. Some hunter you are.
What are you admonishing him for the conflicting signals here?
We are predators. Everything beneath us is something to be used, whether it's as food, whether it's of some other value.
Oh, yeah, I would have probably eaten those dwarves we have with us a while ago, but I didn't because I think you all can make use of them. So I let you.
And I was going to eat those damn cultists if they hadn't been walked away.
What I'm trying to say is, it is also in my best interest that you do whatever you think you are interested in, so you will then let me do what I'm interested in.
That is very wise of you, Valignif.
See? So how about you consider my ideas more often, rather than just discarding them because apparently they are never good enough?
Well, maybe I would, as we're continuing the trip, if you didn't try to keep me up at all hours of the night by moving your damn braziers.
I couldn't sleep either, hence why I moved the brazier.
Yeah, I presume you leave your dwarven.
Yeah, we're not.
contingent
I
at
don't
home.
I don't think we're taking them.
Oh,
No, they get the order to defend the tomb with their lives.
yeah. You continue up the other side. It's pretty steep, actually, and has sort of a cliff ridge to it, making you go sort of all the way along it to sort of turn up. If you look over here on the map, basically. It sort of goes up here and then around onto what is basically a big plateau of what looks like dry land. But as you pass onto it, you can see that it has been cultivated somewhat. It seems that that small sort of areas of rocks have been piled up, and then dirt has sort of been filled in to make little, almost like small terrace farms. Though it seems that it would be pretty hard to carry water up there. It's a pretty long walk, and certainly also, I mean, really not a good place to do farming, given with the great birds above and all that.
I was about to check to confirm, they're still up there, yeah? Probably the initial thought was we don't need to walk along this ridge, we'll just fly up and look up, oh.
Yeah, the monastery here has fairly big walls, basically a big square construction with sort of a, I mean, you sort of know like a Chinese temple architecture.
Yeah.
I don't know the proper words to describe it.
Yeah, I get the Nathlin style.
It's a little clay roof and white painted walls.
A pagoda, maybe? I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
So sort of Mediterranean, or what are we talking about here?
No, like Chinese,
Okay.
Korean architecture. Tibetan, perhaps, if you will.
Like Nathlins are the resident nearby Asians for our location in Faerun.
As you travel up here, it seems fairly big. They have like some a tiki torch, like a tall wooden stick thing with fire on top outside. But as you sort of look at the big gate, it looks like a black painted wooden gate, sort of closing the monastery. It does have a sense of gloom to it. You could sort of try to jump up and look a bit over the edge, but as you sort of look over the edge of the wall, it is indeed as looking into like dusk, even though the sun is high, but it seems it does not reach behind the walls of the monastery. Out here, currently, there are no one, though you can hear sounds inside of like exclamations of probably people doing some exercises.
Verdilith is interested. It spends time actually inspecting like the cultivation that these very industrious people have got going on to bring greenery back to the valley and keep it here.
It seems to be like a small reddish potato that they're growing.
What
Quite
does
a lot
it taste like?
You should pull one out and sort of swallow it. It tastes bland and not yet ripe, mainly.
Ugh.
Yet. They also have small little like bushes of herbs, but they're sort of grown alongside the outer walls, basically to shield them from the wind and give them a bit more cover from the sunlight. When you go to these, they smell very strongly. Most likely they're spices, and I mean, who knows what people use this stuff for, like incense.
What do those taste?
Very strongly of various, I mean, spices. It's not spicy, it just has particular tastes and are a bit overwhelming. I mean, when just eaten like this, there's been too much of it. Nothing of it really tastes good in this configuration.
Verdilith like looks around like the outside of the walls, like looks at the gate, like walks up like next to the gate, and I think she's gonna use like her nose spike and like snout to like knock on the gate.
With the intention of opening it or making like sound?
Making sound.
Wait, we're just knocking on the front door?
Yeah. It's like time to talk about our Lord and Savior dragons.
Oh boy. Okay.
I mean, that's what I wanted to do to pursue my goal. But yeah.
Oh boy. Well.
Sure.
You don't have to be next to me.
No, I know.
It goes past, and you hear like a gong, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like a doom sound echo from within. As you hear like feet move about and such. It seems that knocking has sort of been heard, though it's taking a little time for them to sort of respond to it. And then the doors are sort of opened, both of them really, and you see two sort of to say that they're dressed as servants would be an overstatement. You see two very plainly dressed young people. They are sort of marked a lot by the calluses on their hands and their sort of lithe body. These people are not really fed enough, and they're also worked too hard at the same time. As they sort of push open these doors. They are clean though. They're washed and kept meticulously so. They pull open the gates. Inside you can see a what's called tiled courtyard with like a big tree in the middle, a huge tree that sort of shadows over most of it. There is indeed like a gloomy atmosphere in here. They have little like paper lamps, as the walls seem to protect enough from the wind that they don't get blown away in here, shedding sort of an amber light around the court. Though as people move around, you can see like the dancing shadows of their bodies sort of being almost like cascaded around, giving it a bit of a confusing atmosphere in here, as there's constantly movement out of the corner of your eye as these shadows dart around the walls. There seem to be quite a few of these students, but you can only see one person who sort of stands out, which is someone dressed in in sort of a black and purple, seemingly like a rough spun inside, and then a wreath in a purple sort of silken robe. The one thing there is sort of remarkable about him is that he appears to be an elf, and also to have very piercing eyes, particularly. The look you get is analyzing, and does not seem scared or surprised as the four dragons knock on the door.
Verdilith gives a curious, glance into the environs, and quickly adapts and, looks down at, the people at, the feet who've, opened the door, and addresses them, says, "Hello," in that smooth voice. "I've just moved into the area. Stopping in."
They do not respond. They simply bow deeply, and then step away, giving you plenty of space to move in. As the sort of, well, obviously their superior, at least in some fashion, steps forward looking at you still. He seems slightly tense, but not as much in feeling insecure or threatened as above himself, more as in, this is a man who is always kind of tense and always sort of out and up for a fight, who... It doesn't seem to be spectacular for him as he moves forward before giving you a slight bow.
Verdilith will dip her, fat head.
How was a good start?
Do the rest of you bow as well?
No.
No.
All right.
No.
The new Three Stooges, lurking behind me like we did with Tilraxis.
Yeah.
You will address Verdilith then. Yeah. He speaks. Guests, I presume? Unless you are here to rob this place. If so, then I will give you the same answer as I've given all who have attempted before.
No interest in taking something. New to the valley, moving in. On the other side, there is an old tomb that was filled with small ones, with a scar. They have been removed. Now in their place, for now.
Yeah, he nods. I see. That does answer a few unasked questions, then. They were not particularly kind neighbors, and they attempted once to encroach upon this.
Yes, very rude to us as well, those scarred cultists were. Not an issue anymore, at least around here.
Well, then it seems that I have no quarrel with you. Come in. Enjoy the peace of the monastery. Step in.
She will do so.
The apprentices seem to be wanting to close the doors, just to shut out the light behind you.
Corpulent body lumbers in, and curious looks because this environment is not something that she's seen before, and it doesn't seem quite fitting with a natural setting.
No, it's certainly very monastic. It's in sort of complete lack of wilderness. It almost looks like the tree has been meticulously kept in a certain way.
But it's not like ground, the tree's actually able to grow, and that's nice.
Yeah.
Seeing some greenery.
will basically close the door and then make themselves scarce, apparently having things to see to. Their master sort of gesturing a hand out to one of them, who then just hurries off to get whatever done to get done.
Verdilith says, I appreciate the greenery, the vibrant plants that you have kept around here still. Much of the valley is so brown.
He nods. It is a calming influence on the mind, particularly of the young. They require sustenance as well, and the valley does not yield it easily.
No, it does not. Verdilith agrees, though possibly with different ideas.
Now am I to understand your visit here is prompted mostly by curiosity?
Curiosity, yes. What would the... social visit. Again, just having recently come into the valley, wanted to learn more about it. Useful to know whether we would have to do more than speak with each other if there were hostility.
The monastery does not have any ambitions outside its own walls. We are here to find solitude and peace. I am Master Hichi. May I inquire as to how you would wish me to?
Verdilith will work well for me. And then, just assumes, Master is, some sort of, mortal title, and so she just includes it, Master Hiji.
Yeah, he seems to accept the respect. Basically walks here. The student comes back with what seems to be a clay bowl of water, which the master then washes his hands and face before shooing the student away again and turning back. There we go. Now, I have another guest currently. I am to understand that he too have found the company of these cultists most disagreeable. He has been a well-paying one at that. I will be troubled to see him go. However, it would seem he has nothing more to stay in this valley for. Perhaps you have seen the inelegant tracks of him and his own companion.
Verdilith will nod her wide head.
Beyond that, I most recently had the visit of 3 dwarves who wished to purchase food. It seemed they were slightly... I would have expected them to be disappointed with the blandness of what we grow here, but they seemed to be hungry enough to simply accept it. He watches you for a reaction.
I will not provide one, other than a slow nod.
It seems then that with you as well, we have had quite a few visitors in a very short amount of time. The young ones are almost beginning to forget that this is their entire world.
If you know your food is bland, why don't you grow different food?
He smiles slightly, as as if he forgets that it is not something everyone understands. Any sort of sensation can take away from the focus on the mind that is necessary to reach perfection in these mountain heights. We strive not only to better ourselves, but to reach a higher state of being in what we do. Anything that can distract from that ordeal is something that we do not welcome.
Which would include all of these visits you've had recently?
For the young ones, as you've noticed, I have sent them away. They have more important things to do, though I must admit that I myself have plenty of enlightenment to share with those who would come visit. I'm curious as to what you would want to speak of. However, I have the time, and certainly have never had the chance to speak to beings as yourself.
Then I will share curiosity in the hopes of seeking something from you. She'll begin to describe how imps look, and says I am interested in finding these creatures, and I have suspicion they are in this valley. Have you seen any of them around the monastery?
Thanks, shakes his head. I have not left for some time myself. Had my students been seeing such things, they would have likely attempted to ignore them. If
she nods, satisfied.
Where they might go, however, it would be unlikely for such creatures to come here. He sort of gestures upwards, though the sky doesn't seem to be visible for sort of the shady, almost ceiling of the leaves. There are creatures up there that make sure that any unimportant stragglers do not reach us.
She looks up at the canopy of trees. She nods. She's satisfied. It is.
May I ask as to how you come to be in this place? I was not aware that your kind was particularly social.
Apparently your kind is neither.
He nods.
As noted, a recent moving into the valley, looking for... And she'll, twist, her wide head to, look over, her flank and, all of the others. Twist back. A place to call our own. Which is not here, but the valley, for now, seems suitable, and the small, scarred ones were very willing to give up their territory.
I shall hope, then, that we shall be the kind of neighbors who see just enough of each other, and not too much. I certainly have no objection to you moving in across, nor would I wish for any conflict to arise. In fact, having more understanding and civilized beings in this valley would likely make it easier to acquire the few things we do need from outside.
Verdilith, squints her eyes, thinking into, her head, civilization, the concepts of that, trying to, correlate, what the hell that really means. Ends up with, well, we do have an interest in this valley, and, for the moment, our interests do seem aligned in not seeing too much of each other, and perhaps having a bit of quiet.
And of course, should you require any provisions, or perhaps a place to find some calm or rest, I will offer the monastery as I do to all who come here, as long as the rules are followed and a donation is made. It is at your service.
Now she's thinking in her head, the concept of rules. How, societies work. Doesn't really connect with her either. So she asked, rules?
Yes. You will be... My guests are given a room Here they can eat their meals. They will be brought water to wash themselves. They will be brought the food they require. Beyond that, they are allowed to watch, but not to interfere with the ongoing monastery. Nor are they allowed to help the acolytes who call it home.
She bobbles her head. She doesn't have any interest in staying here as a guest. Doesn't think the others with her do, either. Tries to keep that in mind, that there are rules which are supposed to be followed. Rules? Why would anyone follow those?
Velignov has like a permanent expression of bewilderedness on him.
If you came here mostly because you were interested in the agriculture provide, such services could be rendered in the future. The acolytes can always do with more work, particularly if it is physical.
Her eyes light up at that and says, "That is something I will keep in mind for the valley beyond your." She looks around. Home. This monastery is so dull and broken from the scarring, and I would enjoy seeing it be enriched. There is certainly opportunity there. Yes, and her lips curl upward and the teeth are revealed, and she bobbles her head.
Nods. It seems you could be of one mind with our other guest, then. He himself has a particular liking for keeping the land wild and verdant.
Tyraxus moves up behind Verdilith and says, "Who is he more precisely? We have seen the tracks of his rampages through the forest, and he sort of squints a little bit, violent and temperamental."
He's Amarath, a druid, the Emerald Enclave, and a worshipper of Malar, god of and hunting, savagery. I believe he has been dispatched here to find sources of taint, plague in the land and root them out. This cult that it seems you have so deftly dealt with has been his quarry for several 10 days, it seems.
And he plies this hunt alone?
He brings with him a companion, a trained bear, quite some size.
Interesting.
Currently he is out, however. As I understand it, he has found another source of plague further down the valley. Seemingly these cultists had planned to spread their infection to the water, hoping that it would follow the downstream path. If you wish to speak to him, you can likely find him there.
At the mention of there being another source of plague, Verdilith's face, the red glint there in the eyes, her face becomes more violent. I suppose there's a meaner expression.
The master notes the change as
more of them further to the south, and a harsh tapping from a claw is on the ground, the beautiful tiling floor, I do believe you said.
Mm-hmm. Some of them are cracked and such, but it would have taken a lot of work to bring them up here.
Yeah, not hard enough to break them further. She doesn't slam her head against them, but it's a real sound, that rapping.
Yulnad says, it seemed that the caverns were the place they supported themselves from. Yet, some of them have been going out to, I assume, find locations suitable for spreading the corruption, hoping to change the natural world around them to better fit their idea of perfection.
They probably have
Amarath
more
has attacked
crossbows.
quite a few of them as they arrived. I do not think many got past. Apparently, he has been able to feel that some must have.
Verdilith nods her head, but now less pleasant, more invigorated, with determination and in drive.
He has not returned for a few days still. I do not believe him to be truly in danger.
If he has survived this long on his own, I think he will be fine. Glances around a little bit. We have heard and even seen something of a madman stumbling about close to here, down among the trees, screaming about something. Do you know anything about this person?
I do have some idea of who he used to be.
Who?
Once, a long time ago now, many years, there was a tower further down the valley of an enterprising wizard and artificer. It seems, however, that in the blue flame he got scorched rather badly and has been growing madder and madder ever since. I have not inspected him, but how he manages to survive out there is a small mystery.
Do you know where this tower is located?
He sort of says, if you follow the water, you will see it eventually. It is not well hidden, though I imagine it has been thoroughly ruined at this point.
Verdilith turns her large head towards Tilraxos. It's a look which we spent enough time together. It's basically a look of do you have any further questions for the master? Mr. Hiji here.
Master Hiji.
Whose full name I've already forgotten, and I thought I put it in my notes.
That's fine. It's a human or something it's
I guess it is fitting that I would forget the full name.
Yeah, you were something about something. No, I don't think I have any further questions right now.
All right. Verdilith will turn away from Tilraxos, looking towards the master of the monastery, and says, "Given circumstances, then, we will end this social visit, perhaps returning at some point to engage in opportunities for your underlings to do work in the valley, business, for which suitable compensation may come." She nods her head vigorously.
He gives a slight bow and says, hardship is the only way to truly improve.
She agrees with that. These pets, these weaklings, need to be strengthened somehow, and hardship seems the proper way to do that.
It certainly also seems that building this whole place would have cost quite a bit of that. It does not seem like Master Hiji has dragged the stone here himself.
She takes us off to being an interesting person she wishes to speak with again at some point. She dips her head as to return the slight bow. Considering this interaction over.
you basically intend to leave. It seems a couple of the apprentices have been on the ready to move and open the door for you once more.
All right. Then, unless there's anything else from the group, we depart the monastery. Walk out back through the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
When we leave, it basically will, I don't know, we've maybe taken like 17 steps total. Like, we're still like in the agricultured area. And Verdilith hisses and like her head slams against like the ground, like of the path that we traveled, and says, "More of those scarred cultists are out there, and they would have had to have gotten in this valley somehow. If they are inhabiting the caves, Phylacteries, then they will know of the route beneath the mountains."
It would seem that we would need to extract this information.
Yes, we will find one of them, not immediately kill them, so that you can have a polite chat.
Oh, yes. And might I say, you... Seems he's struggling to form a word in his mouth. As he says, you have impressed me with your ability to, well, not make every situation violent.
Tyraxus flares his nostrils and says, I, for one, think there is a bit too much bowing and scraping to this human, or whatever he is.
Besides, is that really how we're going to judge each other? By the ability to do things like this? It seems terribly easy to not kill someone.
Tyraxus nods slightly. You know, this makes sense to him in a way.
Bearstrick sighs as if this is like the 10th or 100th time he's had to explain the concept of exploiting resources to someone.
Let me remind the three of you, or at least you, Tilraxos, and you, Valignith, of what we encountered on our journey through the valley before our 10-day rest, which included the two of us, like gesturing towards Tilraxos and herself, collapsing in bloody ruin, most unbecoming. And you two, gesturing at Astrix and Valignith, doing whatever you did with those wards and whatever was going on there. I think a different approach is curious to explore and might actually bear more.
I'm not saying it might not bear more, or at least something. I'm just saying you know what? You do you.
My approach did not make our lives worse.
Well, my approaches haven't done anything because I haven't done any approaches yet.
That is a lie.
Tyraxus looks over to Verdilith and says, Verdilith, I see what you are saying. But there is also a certain pride in what we are. And there is a line where we cannot debase ourselves ad infinitum to these creatures. He sort of waves a claw towards the monastery. I am fine with them being peaceful neighbors. But I fear that at some point we will have to deal with them more permanently.
Why?
He looks over at the monastery and says, I get the feeling that the master of that place is more than he lets on. He says he has no ambitions, but I do not believe him.
Why do you care about the ambitions of inferior creatures? I think you're the one who is caring too much about them.
He snorts. He has clearly been here long, so he is strong enough to survive, and powerful enough to attract acolytes. This is someone to tread somewhat carefully with, or at least keep an eye on. Yes, he snorts again. It is good that they did not attack us outright. That says something for their intelligence, I believe. Still, I am wary. There is something off with the monastery.
She shakes her head dismissively, says, "It is an isolated location, unsuitable for us. They are industrious and will make for useful assets in restoring greenery to this valley. They have utility, which is why I regarded them the way I did, and they did not attack us, which is why I regarded them the way I did."
A small smile creases the edges of Tyrax's maw. Yes, of course, the greenery. He should have known. He thinks to himself, that is the true agenda here, of course.
She thought that was obvious.
I know. Then he says, "Be that as it may, this guest of theirs, this druid, this ally of the hunt, sounds like an interesting character. If he could be swayed to our side, he seems to be a creature of action, someone we could perhaps use in our battle for supremacy of this place. He does not like the cultists. Good, we don't do either. And if he can be employed to fight off other pests in this region, then that would be a good thing. He seems powerful."
Verdilith says, "We will find this potential pet fighting those scarred ones then," as she dips her head, points at her face towards the monastery again, as was suggested. We should travel in that direction. The tracks should not be too difficult to follow given the dryness and size, and we will find more scarred ones. We will find their caves. We will find this potential pet. And his pet. Her pet. Their whatever.
That sounds agreeable.
And if this druid will not be useful, Verdilith can eat him.
I don't need your permission to eat anyone.
On that, I think all of the three of us disagree. Then again, I saw you eat a warhammer. We're just walking again. I saw you eat a warhammer.
Didn't eat that. I didn't swallow. That's not eating.
Remind me why you were chewing on the warhammers, the camera microphone,
Yeah, Tyrax's just shaking his head as they walk along.
I was curious how hard it is.
How hard it is.
Yes.
Like my life with you.
Well, you can't chew on that.
I don't actually think she has anything to say. That's like a Verdilith checkmate move.
So where do you plan to sort of go from here? Descend.
I have an interest in following the general direction of hunting further cultists, and hopefully picking up on tracks that were left by the druid and the companion bear, how we saw signs of battle, in the hopes of getting to the cultists and to this druid. The cultists are a threat to the valley and the greenery. The cultists also have cave structures, and they are probably going to be the best source of information for finding a route beneath the mountains.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Also, I believe it was said the cultists were near water, and if we want to find the Madman's Tower or something, it was also near water?
Yes, I think that is a likely place they could stay, because they do seem to like magic because they need to eat it, I assume. So
Yeah, like the cultists wanted to poison the water, so obviously
Yeah.
they need access to like the water resource to.
You were indeed told, if you look over the map again, that the cultists would be in the outer valley. Now, the Valley of the Serpent here is split in two, really. Up here, you have the upper valley. Here you have basically like water trails going down, but they usually don't have water in them. This mostly happens, basically they overflow wild sometimes when you have a big amount of storm water coming in from the Dragonmere. Here you have a steep sort of incline down to what basically is some low-lying areas here that are very verdant from what you've seen, and sort of full of like swampy water and a lot of like small pools and lakes that don't really flow too strongly unless it rains. And here you basically have slightly lower laying plains that do seem to have some drainage to form an actual river further down. Following the water would certainly be going to the outer valley, and then, well, presumably leaving it further out.
That ends up working for like multiple interests that we've expressed anyway. Well, is to get a greater like land like survey over our territory and encounter what we will.
Sure. You sort of begin to trek along here to go down to the sort of swamplands, and as you sort of look up here and look down, you sort of see that the majority of the pine trees sort of stop pretty abruptly, really, as the incline goes down into becoming more of sort of a coniferous and leafy, a lot of leafy greens.
Oh, that is very delightful to see. All these leafy greens.
The ground becomes less of this like sandy sort of rocky ground and more like a muddy ground. And a lot of these areas have like low-lying pools that are probably like washed out whenever there is like a heavy rain, but then bits of the water is left behind afterwards. And here it seems the ground has enough organic material to sort of retain the water without it sinking down. Probably also given that the underground here is likely rock and isn't very porous.
So long as it's not boggy or marshy, like my character's good.
Yeah, it seems that it would be. Down here you have what seems to basically be some big, like, low-laying lakes. They're very shallow, and also probably has a lot of, like, it's like a marshy. Not marsh, more like swamp, really.
Yeah, like, not ideal, but still all this greenery preferable to be seen further up.
Yeah, it certainly becomes a lot greener. You also have here where the sun is basically not as shallow down here, since there's no walls blocking, mostly on either side, giving it a lot more sunlight, allowing a lot more of.
Wonderful.
A lot more green.
See,
it's also
told you all you were then. You didn't listen.
It's also reflected in the animal
worth it?
You see around. A lot more lizards down here of various sorts. It seems they don't do so well further up. Mountain goats are not really that many of them here. And more so, the amount of trees makes it so that the birds don't really seem to pay as much attention down here as they do further up the mountains. It seems their hunting grounds are generally high up. Actually, as you pass down, you notice that on these cliffs you can see a lot of nests at this very strong incline. Of massive birds' nests up there. It seems that that's where they sort of they nest and lair.
They have great perches to overlook, like the incline, then.
Yeah. And basically, from there they fly out and hunt.
Okay. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah. You're moving down for this like marshy terrain for a time. Are you looking out for anything particular? Like, what's your marching order? I was gonna say.
I'm definitely like taking the lead in this one, considering like Verdilith's like interest. Like signs of like battle or like the druid and like Bear's Passage is something that she has in mind. She doesn't expect to like find like one of these imps flitting around the forest, though she would be delighted if one of them were to just stumble into her lap, like, hello. But wishful thinking of that one. Yeah, she has a vested interest in finding the druid, to find the cultist, to accomplish everyone's hopes and dreams, almost. For now. For Greedy.
Well, clearly Religniv would walk second, mostly because he absolutely wants to be in front of Tyraxis.
Ah, well then. Veristrix will be in the back then. To allow those petty wants to be fulfilled. I feel like he would be looking out for like the spell-scarred people. Like he gets a grip of their kind of emanations now, so he's searching for that kind of signature. If he can feel anything nearby.
Sheep, since some time has passed since last session, I am curious, how does Veligna feel about Tilraxos now?
Well, he's had a bit of a think and came to the conclusion that once is an insult, twice is a mistake. And the second time hasn't occurred yet.
Right.
Tyraxos, will honestly have forgotten about it, probably.
It makes perfect sense.
He's like, and so he does not necessarily understand why Valignith wants to walk in front of him so firmly. He'll think it a bit annoying, and constantly when he wants to increase the pace, Valignith will like move his tail in front of him, or like do some annoying move to sort of block him.
Like you both run the road and you're like trying to pass him, and you like increase drive as faster.
Exactly. So he doesn't necessarily know what that's about, but he's strange. Like he drags like brachers around, like and he eats warhammers. Like honestly, he might not be right in the head. Maybe Bone Dad dropped him.
Dragon.
Yeah, maybe Bone Dad dropped him.
He literally has like a piece of metal strapped to his tail.
Yeah, it's very, like looking at that, you're like,
which
what
means
is
it's just
that?
you're right behind him. You're seeing.
Yeah, you're just seeing that, and he's like, what has he done? Like, what is that? Why?
I imagine at least being behind Valignith means that you have a cleared path. Because that tail probably swings around to smack in like roots and trees and whatever.
Red dragons have big tails, so
that's a passive destruction walk.
Yeah, just nice. Generally mystified by Malignith. Yeah.
It is as you proceed like this that you hear a screaming sound and see a small creature, smaller than the others you've seen, a kobold. You've seen one before, probably. Like fall over in front of you, grasping some sort of salamander, screaming in delight. More come, like two more come, and begin to beat him on the head while grabbing for the salamander.
Valignith wants the salamander.
In an extreme, like, they're fighting for their life for this salamander. And one of them manages to grab it, then runs off, leaving two of them to basically lay there, like squashed into the mud, barely able to drag themselves out of it. Before sort of one of them looks up and sees you, and is stunned before the eyes turn from tears into salvation. It is a look of someone who is in the rapture and sees that they get to go.
Well, I guess we found our new servants.
You reacted first, Sheep. Like, go for it. Like, you want fucking, like, go after that kobold. Like, that's my sound.
Yes.
Fucking go for it. Like,
they want it, therefore I want it.
Sure. Yeah. Can you give me, like, an athletics check? I think it makes most sense.
Can I give you athletics?
Go and, like, take it out.
The last time you did that, it was...
It's slightly worse these days because I've got a piece of metal strapped to my tail.
-2 ACP.
Oh, yes. That is certainly enough.
So, like, these two kobolds who lost the salamander and looking up for salvation as this red dragon, like, soars over them, like, bounding towards the one.
Just body tackles the other kobold. Like,
Verdilith he reveals the truth of things, the value of this thing through destruction. He will kill this kobold who has the salamander to get it.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care. Yeah, take a dragon point if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I guess like he just jump flies and like lands on it. So it just is in down in the mud fully. Nobody will ever find it.
Sure. I'll
And
take
he
one of that.
can break the salamander easily, though it's tiny.
So, like, that happens. Verdilith, like, finally reacts as, like, Malignant, like, bounds right past her and soars. Like, she, like, backpedals a few steps towards Tilraxos and, like, Veristrix and, like, lowers her voice and says, maybe let these creatures be his pets so that he can... Because he really wants to...
If he's happy, then maybe he won't break everything.
and then in the background we just hear the roar and the like shriek, and then the bone sickening
Like-
crunch. Like, oh.
Like, you saw the metal on his tail. He's really... I don't know, like, what the draconic, like, equivalent of, like, stir crazy is.
He's
He
off.
needs to
Feel happy.
He's almost like a dog who's just been, like, had, like, all this pent-up energy on, like, the...
He's yes, you're quite right. I mean, do we know what kobolds are, Manaki?
You've seen a couple probably that have like actually gone close enough to the tomb all the way up there, like that you got to see them when you were outside, being allowed outside. Of course, they got always killed, but at least one thing is that they love dragons, and that they have no real concept of what dragons are. They just know that they love them in the same manner as you love gold.
Right.
They are tiny. They are fairly inept at most things.
Yeah.
But they love traps and dragons.
Traps. We
Certainly
do need
love
that.
traps and dragons. That is. They are huge fans of those things.
All right.
Which, given their ineptness, is why Verdilith thinks that they're best suited.
And sort of, they're currently like staring at you as they slowly turn. I guess we'll put like him over here, like the mud, as they turn to Verdilith and see him, and enraptured, begin to cry and yell in sort of each other's mouths, completely like both trying to climb up the mud upon one another to get like up, while incredibly excited as they begin to basically scream like dragon.
It's like they're yipping draconic.
Yes.
Dragon! Dragon,
they're-
help!
they're-
Help,
I
dragon!
I never
as they throw
considered-
themselves in the mud in front of Verdilith.
Aw,
Critters for Burgle, dragon, help!
they are adorable.
I never considered that one of the consequences of playing a dragon campaign is that kobolds would love us and fawn over us and want to be a part of our lives.
Yeah, it is a situation of quantity over quality here, I feel.
Yes,
But it is certainly nice to be fawned upon for once.
Yes, I know. Like, for viewers, you will never encounter a situation where kobolds have been as adorable and lovable as you here at Dread to the Dragon Coast.
Their sales
They
pitch.
throw themselves in the mud, and they look at Verdilith as the savior himself, and they cry with happiness. As more kobolds sort of, he seems to hear the yipping and sort of come out the woodwork. Really, not having watched, but simply like scampering from all sides. Like some of them are like having grabbed, like one of them is like holding an ant triumphantly, as they seem to be scouring the ground for any sort of small critter.
Great, they're paying tribute.
As indeed one of them sees Verdilith and just screams, "Dragon, help! Dragon, save us!
Wow.
Save your dragon!" Another one screams and throws its head in the mud, beginning to sort of suffocate. As another one screams, "Dragon, help with pets!" And then they begin again to with invigorated strength, scurry around, digging in mud and whatnot, for trying to basically find anything that's small enough that they can carry it, and it's alive. She's very enthusiastic now that you're here.
It's very obvious on Velign's face that all he really wanted was get that salamander. And now he's being fallen over by a bunch of kobolds and doesn't quite know how to react.
I think spreading your wings and looking majestic.
I think Verdilith see, like, since how obvious it is, the kobolds have no recognition of that, but Verdilith sees it, and, like, saying again, like, to Raxus and Varys, oh yes, this is the right decision. Leave the kobolds to him. Let him be here. This is great. I love this.
Dragons, quota pets! Another one screams in basically mortal terror, as it, like, tries to fling itself after a bird that's way too high in the air for it to catch it.
Wow.
It's,
adorable.
Velignov will basically, as much as he can in his young age, roar in a sort of please just be silent roar. Trying to just get them to shut up, and then in the hopeful moment of silence say, one of you talk, not all of you.
They, one of them screams, I'm talk! And then another one screams, me, no me! And then a third one, like, punches the first one into the mud and stands on his body and screams, I talk! Crota, pets for Burgle, or tax! And he, like, shivers.
You are talk. I like you.
Oh, he's proud. He sort of, stands up, the one below him, sort of in its death throes. As Talk has been named as the speaker of the dragon.
Now, what do you need help with?
He seems almost too excited. Pets for Burgle!
What does that even mean? Who burgled your pets?
Another one, just like, as you say, that flings its little hands in the air and screams and falls on its knees crying before beginning to again dig around for some earthworms that might be in the ground. Pets for Burgle! Or tax! And it again shivers, seemingly very dreading whatever tax is happening to them.
What?
Dragon help! Dragon save! Pets for Burgle! It points at one of the birds and then looks incredibly hopeful at Verdilith.
The birds?
Pets!
Cats?
Velignov will actually, like, look lost towards Verdilith.
I don't think in all of these years we've been together, Velignov have ever seen her, like, so, like, cheerful and, like, laughing, like, like her weight, like, partly supported by, like, Tilraxos, like, she's, like, bent over.
Tyraxos like slumping slightly over Verdilith, like leaning on him and laughing. He's like, oh, like every laugh is just, oh, god damn.
Like looks at Velignov, like looks at Velignov as Velignov looks at her, lost and confused.
Talking is hard.
She like stops, like laughing.
Talk
blinks and starts laughing again.
Talk looks at its scales in confusion, and then looks to Velignith as if what he's saying basically makes no sense at all. But then it just goes with it and says, "Talk hard."
No, don't
say
that. Don't say that.
No. Can we strike that? Don't have kobolds.
Don't teach him these things.
You can give me an insight check if you want to try to understand what the kobold is attempting.
Oh yes, please. I have no idea.
Verdilith is now like leaned off of Tilraxos and is almost like slumped over on the ground now.
Well, Valagnith, it seems pretty clear that these kobolds want critters of any sort, and they seem to be like willing to kill one another to get them. Scrambling around for any sort of small animal, and these small animals seems that this is not a new occurrence, and their population might be dwindling. The kobolds seem deadly desperate for small animals.
It's like Verdilith, like through like gasping laughter, says, "Phylacteries, just is a bird. Just breathe your fire on them. They'll fall. Their bodies will fall on the ground. Do it."
They seem to want living critters, particularly. Once they happen to sort of kill a rabbit they caught by fighting over it, they leave it there.
Why do you want pets?
Pets for burgle or tax. And the kobold falls on his knees and sobs, looking into the sky.
Tax for what?
Tags! As it continues to cry. It seems that kobolds have contagious crying, as it quickly spreads around the clearing. As they wail and throw themselves rolling around the mud.
Contagious crying. Oh my god.
As this dragon save.
It seems to me, Valagnith, that the kobolds have some sort of a taskmaster, ordering them to maybe fetch food or something. He looks down at the mud and the gunk, and if they don't, the creature will kill and eat them.
Well, I want to be that.
Slight smile over to Raxos. Yes, well, it seems then that we need to put this creature in its place. And that place being 6 feet under.
Verdilith, still like gasping with laughter. Ask them where this burgle is.
Valagnith will throw like the small salamander he caught towards Talk, and then say with
sort of squeezes it. Very careful not to kill it, but holding it to just paranoid now, instantly looking to other kobolds who are eyeing him hungrily.
With renewed confidence and what's the word? I don't know. It'll just be confidence for now. Say, bring me to Tax.
The kobold looks to Valagnith, and then he looks to himself, and then he looks around, and then he begins crying.
Stop crying, or you'll no longer be Talk.
Oh, he cries more. As another one just comes over and clearly proclaims that it is Talk. But when asked the same question, it seems utterly confused. And
where do you bring these pets to?
Pets to Tax. For home.
Then bring me to home.
Pets quota. It screams loudly, and more of them come over. At this point, there's maybe 6 around Valagnith that sort of begin to almost hang on his legs while screaming, "Dragon save!" They're petting his legs and they seem. It's like a worshipping manner.
Are any of these kobolds also falling over us, or are they mostly concentrated on Valagnith?
There are some that are that have gone to you and they throw themselves and scream. But as Valagnith is the one answering, they're sort of they seem their attention span is fairly limited.
Yes, that makes sense.
It's easier for them to surround and mob and pet one dragon than it is for them to worship and pet us too.
So, dragon safe, but show me where.
They point. One of them points to like a bush and to the birds, and to everywhere basically. As they dart out again, beginning to run and try to catch whatever critters there might be around.
What?
Run another insight check.
Verdilith like finally pushes herself like off the ground, like the little like draconic tears, like she's running off like out of her eyes.
Bear6 is just like you don't really see him laugh. It's just like a shared feeling of shame. He's just covering his face with his claw and closing his eyes.
Like he had never imagined creatures being this inept until like, this very moment. It never crossed his mind.
The bar has been set even lower than he thought physically possible.
It is this moment that Velignev has recognized how smart dwarves actually are. I don't know what they're trying to say. Let me roll in I don't know.
Okay, they seem, and they're not really, like, they're hard to figure out, not because they're clever, but because they're very not clever. They seem to believe that they are in mortal danger, but they need pets to save them. And dragons are amazing and can do anything, so dragons can save them by making lots of pets. That much is pretty clear. To them, at least. Dragons can do anything.
So, they are using words that I don't think they know what they mean. Like tax and quota.
It doesn't seem to be their own words, certainly.
So where do those words come from? Who gave them those words?
Their master, presumably.
Who gave you those words?
They seem terribly stressed out at the moment. They know that the dragon is helping them, but they need to clearly find... Everyone wants to have something.
Velignev would like to scare some sense into them.
Sure.
If that works. You know, his attention span is very short as well. At least it's getting there.
Ignoring you right now, and that's
yeah.
Yeah, change the focus of, we're going to be saved if this happens to, we're going to die if we don't listen.
The thing is, Velignev is actually really bad at being intimidating, so that will be hilarious.
You're a dragon, and they love you, so I mean, like...
Yeah.
It's not going to be that difficult.
Let's see. Okay, that's about right. As Velignev like picks one of the kobolds at random and just tries to run at him and like scare him, knocking him down to get him to stop doing what he's doing and answer questions, please.
Kobold is like a deer in the headlights. He just like stares and falls over. Not pet, not pet, not pet, not pet.
Who said tax to you?
Tax?
Who is tax?
It sort of crosses its eyes, trying to figure out how to answer your question, and it says, tax?
Velignev is just leaving.
You know, strength moves the world. Tyraxus will step forward to one of these talks, or anyone. Yeah, that guy.
Yes. Talk. He got name. He's the talk the second. Technically.
Talk the second. All right. Well, Tyraxus will reach out his serrated claws and grab Talk the second around his little head and start squeezing, and then he will say, "You will bring us to your lair, or I will kill you."
Roll me an intimidation check.
Yes, I certainly can. Ah, fucking threes.
He seems terrified. He quivers and wiggles his hands and then like nods vigorously, pointing to another kobold and says, "It!" This seems to set off the group once more. As the kobold who was pointed to, everyone looks at him. He then points to someone else and says, "It!" And then that one points at another one, and then a random third one points at a fourth one. And they all begin to point at one another, screaming, "It!" Until one of them
Yes.
points at Thorax and says, "Dragon id!" And then they all become deathly silent, looking at Tilraxos.
Guess you're it. I don't know what that means.
Tyraxos looks at the kobold in his claws.
It's just hanging there, helpless. It's not defending itself against a dragon. Not like this.
Looks at it again. It doesn't seem like it has any intention to bring them home.
It seems like it. Yes, it seems like you're it. Whatever that means. But that seems to satisfy them.
Verdilith is gonna ask the closest one, what do you mean?
He sort of looks up at Verdilith, clearly terrified that he'll call it it, and then says, "Dragon it."
Can Registrix has been surveying this what can you even call this parade of? Can he roll insight to see what's going on here?
Sure. Yeah.
Seems like he's quite tired of this roundabout kind of situation here. So let's see what's going on.
I mean, it seems like when ordered to go home before their task is complete, they all began deciding who was it, and it seems that they have decided that the dragon is it, and the dragon didn't say anyone else was it, so that must be true.
Oh,
They seem to be happy to go home now.
okay.
Alright, if they are happy to go home, Tyraxos will slowly put down Talk the Second and tell him, "Lead us to your home."
A little slink, like scurry through the underbrush for quite a while, actually, as they sort of many of the other ones like flip in, and suddenly they're very quiet, as if anyone saying anything would be in trouble. Yeah, they sling a sort of lizard run back. It's a little actually back up the trail, a little bit further up from the sort of watery areas, where you get to like a half hill. That's basically swampy at the bottom, and in it are dug a lot of like narrow burrows in a lot of the dirt around here. There's a lot more kobolds, a lot more of them. Some of them seeming a little bit like bigger, and a little bit more important than these kobolds, but clearly not that much more intelligent. As they just sort of, they seem basically to be guard kobolds for the nest, as they look towards the sky for whatever birds might come and like swoop them up. As Talk the Second runs back and loudly proclaims, "Dragon it!" To which a lot of the kobolds look at each other, and then they nod. That seems to be an understandable situation. So Talk the Second turns to Telvaxus and beams. Home.
Okay. I suppose we need to investigate this. This squalid camp to find out what's going on, maybe.
Let's try to find someone who can speak more than 4 words.
Dragon Id, yes. It's just a nodding well looking at Telvaxus.
That's free, so you don't qualify.
Looks at the kobold. I don't think it knows what qualify means. Realizing that realizing that it said it, looking at the kobold.
As a lot of the other kobolds looks at it, and it looks around rapidly, saying, "Rock it!" But the others don't seem to agree as they begin to narrow in a circle around it.
All right, something is happening.
Interesting.
It seems the ritual has been pushed on by Tolaxos as the other kobolds grab Talk the Second, and begin to like grab his stuff, basically, and like put rope on him. Not like to bind him, but just like to tether him, basically. After which they begin to chant. The camp, that is, begin to chant, "Tax, tax, tax!" Not in unison, but like a lot of kobolds doing it all, like with no regard for when the others doing it. So it's more like just an incessant noise. Sort of like when you have like a flock of geese somewhere, and they just like constantly like make these annoying like howling noises.
While this is going on, Tyraxis wants to. I mean, something might happen here. Something might be summoned. Something might just land. Like he's definitely on alert here. You know, looking for trouble.
Talk the Second is weeping, just saying, "Dragon save."
Tyraxis looks down at him and says, "No." No.
Dragon it. No one pays attention anymore to what he has to say, as it seems that something nears as sort of the kobolds begin to like flip out. Some of them like scream loudly and like run away. Others stand their ground, but like the kobold children are being moved inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clearly like a horrifying situation for them. As as things occur. As they do, basically, a small figure comes over the top of the edge, the rim of the hill the kobolds on. Just imagine there's tons of kobolds here. Some of them have slings and whatnot, tougher looking ones. But mainly it's just a lot of kobolds. As one small one, clearly also a kobold, but wearing like a skull, and it's all its scales are painted like with some sort of chalk to make it all white. Comes up sort of on the top of the hill, looking down. Everyone sort of gets quiet and then begins to whisper amongst one another, like, "Tax, tax, tax." Kobold next to you like passes out. Behind this figure comes a couple of orcs who look. Most of them look stupider than orcs normally would. They seem to be very savage, sort of almost undressed, and generally like not particularly well kept. They seem to be, I mean, for orcs, right? And then there's one orc that just seems out of place and seems to be has sort of a terrible time, really, with the other orcs. So as they come sort of going out as well. Around the one orc raider here looks at you guys and like seems to realize that you are not usual, but none of the other orcs or Tax seems to pay attention to that as Tax walks forward. As the kobolds sort of push and shove Talk the Second to him, saying, he ped. As Tax looks at him, looks around, and then Tax says, "Quota," and they all begin howling. Mostly that this kobold is it. After which Tax seems to nod and basically grab the rope. And seemingly thinking that this is done, is going to leave.
Well, here's your chance, Verdilith, if you want to talk to someone.
Yeah, Verdilith is gonna just get up there, basically. land, hoping that gets the attention of everyone, presumably.
The orcs pretty much instantly get ready, as like with their axes and whatnot, as Tax turns around and looks up at Valaknith.
Tax.
As he's close now, I mean, he wasn't really good at seeing a lot of things from a distance. None of you are particularly perceptive. But he can see that actually this kobold is wearing a big robe, and something is moving constantly under this robe. As if this kobold really is made of a balloon full of bats or something. Tack looks up at Valaknith, seemingly again, you can't really see its kobold face, but it certainly doesn't throw itself in the dirt or anything. As Talk the Second it just sobs, seemingly understanding its fate.
Tax, explain.
Pets for Burgle.
Who is Burgle?
Pale Burgle.
Alright. You're not getting this one. He's mine.
Frowns. Looks to the kobold, who all seem confused. This is pretty unprecedented, seemingly. As Tax just shrugs and lets go of the rope and looks at the other kobold. Says, "Quota, pets." They look at one another. The it game seems to be about to restart, effectively.
There is no quota. There is no Burgle.
Tax looks over at Valaknith and says, "Burgle."
No, I am new Burgle. Bring Burgle so he can disagree.
Frowns, looking and sort of points at Scale and says, "Pale," as if it's a question.
Yes? No? I don't know what you want from me. But I know that something is going on here that I want to be the head of. So bring me your boss, and I'm gonna kill him.
So it's completely quiet. As Tax seems not really to understand the situation, the kobolds also seem to not really know how to handle something as complex as this social circumstance. As the one orc over here, sort of
Alright, Badiknov turns around. Can you speak more than 4 words? Because it might just save your life.
It seemingly seems to think about maybe he shouldn't have done it. Burgle's the chief of the valley.
Where is he?
Is he now?
At the camp.
What camp?
Sort of gestures further out of the valley. The camp is Burgle's camp.
Well, it won't be for long.
The orcs are communicating in common, yeah. They've shown, they must have understood Draconic, because, they've,
It seems that this one does, though the freaks don't seem to have any recollection of anything going on. Not even the common part.
At that point, Verdilith, finally speaks up. Valaknith. He means the camp that we've known about here in the valley.
Oh, that camp. I see.
Camp.
So you're here to make sure that Burgle gets his tax? Why does he... He wants more pets.
Verdilith, nods her head.
The orc nods. He doesn't seem particularly happy about it, but he nods. Burgle loves pets.
You know what? You just answered my question, which many of these kobolds fail to do. If you like, I'll let you live.
York nods.
Good.
Verdilith says, Valignif, let them take that kobold. We have our answer. Let them have the... There's plenty more.
Well, yeah, but this one's mine.
Valignif, there are hundreds of these yipping monsters.
But there would be one less.
You saw all those children.
Well, there would still be one less.
You would want one more of those things shouting at you constantly.
If it's mine, then yes.
Think of how useless he was.
He was very useless.
Talk the second looks up at Veligis with big eyes, saying, Dragon save! Not pet, not it, Dragon save! And then its voice raises to such a pitch that I cannot mimic it. Before it finally gets to a crack. Tax seems completely unconcerned as he looks at the kobold and looks at Veligis, waiting for this to be resolved.
Veligis will step up to this Orkia and say, this is no longer under Burgle's control. You may leave because you were useful. You may take your people with you, but they are no longer welcome here.
Yeah. Or doesn't seem to want to argue to ruin his chances, so he just nods in acknowledgement. Probably intending to leave and not be eaten.
And tell Burgle I look forward to killing him.
The orc nods, though anyone with a decent insight knows that he won't. He won't say that.
That sounds like a great way for him to die.
It seems that this is what the orcs that are not well liked are sent to do, and maybe he'll do a better job. Now that he knows that this is what he has to deal with instead of the normal.
Raxus will speak in Draconic, and he will say, "Why are we letting these creatures leave? They are clearly our enemies."
And they will be scared all the way.
They should be dead.
Where's the fun in that?
Tyraxus narrows his eyes dangerously, and he says, "These are creatures that have brought chaos and ruin to this valley. They destroy everything they touch." Look around with some... Maybe he oversold it a bit, like looking at the kobold village. It's like... They are a destabilizing element to an area we want to control and dominate. They must be subjugated or destroyed.
Veligis will turn back to the orc and say, you know what, that thing about letting your people go, I mean, I did say you could leave, and I'm sticking to that, I think, but you should run.
The orc looks to Tax, as if he believes that might be dangerous too. The strange sort of undulating kobold, seemingly inspiring some fear in the orc, as he just sort of looks to Veligis and says, "Oh, sort of not sure what to do. His own intellect perhaps not entirely sufficient either."
What? Who is Tax? He's a kobold.
Point.
Or is he?
Tax.
What is Tax? Tax, what are you?
What are you? You know what?
The IRS agents just said,
you know what? You know what? You know what? In Destruction, truth is revealed. I compel you to attack him. To reveal his truth.
Let me
right.
draw a thing.
You accept that?
Yes. Fire breath.
With that,
reveal your secrets.
With that though, before we roll initiative, I need to be right back. Should go to the bathroom.
Sure.
But then yes, there will be a combat.
If you angle it one up sheep, you can capture that orc as well.
I don't want to capture.
Alright.
I don't think tactical acumen is on Relic's mind right now.
I'm just so like that was a perfect way to call the compulsion there, Jonas. And This entire encounter has been delightful. I've enjoyed every moment of this.
This is why we play, for these moments.
And, I think Verdilith's enjoyed this too. It's like, oh yes, talking. That was such a bad thing. All right, your turn.
Yeah, it's a good lesson for Varstrix that kobolds are just no.
It's doubly ironic because Velignev basically said, "Oh, talking to people is so easy."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, I love that. And looks towards, like, we had the one where, like, you look towards, like, Verdilith for help, and Verdilith's just, like, laughing.
Karmic retribution right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
You know, like, all these minions, like, Velignev wanted, like, some good minions, you know, boss around, and here we are.
Yeah, we are.
Velignev just wanted the salamander.
I know, right? That's the reason. If just someone else had dove for that damn sound. Oh, shit.
It's not about caring about these kobolds, it's about caring about someone wanting to take something Velignev could own.
But while Manaki is away before we start the combat, I will make the note that I was perfectly fine with letting the kobold go because it's just one of them, and it makes Burgle think that everything's perfectly fine here in the valley still before we go kill him or subjugate him, one of the two.
But we'd also sacrifice a possession for a deception.
I mean, if you think kobolds are that valuable in the grand scheme of things, I think copper pieces are more valuable.
I'm not saying they're valuable, I'm saying they're mine.
It's
I guess it really does play into how red dragons feel, huh?
I don't know.
If the only gain is to be had to be undiscovered, that's sort of counterproductive. You know, bring it on, Burgle. I'm here.
Help Burgle.
Right. Well, it's hard for them. It's hard for Burgle to bring it on if no one survives to tell Burgle that you're here.
Exactly. This nice orc may survive, but the rest, yeah.
If he doesn't take part in the fighting, he might survive.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
He probably knows better.
We'll see.
Blow up some orcs. Sounds good.
But this is as I ended up writing in the stream chat. This is what I thought orcs.
It's
Like, who else would the kobolds be terrified of in this valley besides literally everyone? Who would boss them around?
The only problem with doing this is that they now will fawn over us constantly, like follow us around and stuff. Like we won't get rid of them.
Well, they're Veligne's possessions, so
maybe they can make some traps for the tomb.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're annoying, you just kill them.
That's true.
Well, you don't because they're mine, but I could.
If any of your pets like touch me and start to like clutch on any part of my body, they get eaten. Those are the rules.
Yeah, like
the Raxus's pets have never disrespected me at any moment.
That's the thing here, you know. It's the respect part. That's
no touchy, no eaty. That's the rules.
Right. Like, I won't go over to your house and threaten to eat your bunny rabbit. That's only because your bunny rabbit doesn't disrespect me.
Bunny rabbit has pooped on my doorstep.
So let's see your attack to begin with, shall we?
Alright, let me press my button. I have no bonuses, I've got nothing. 21 versus reflex.
Hit.
Oh, that's pretty good.
For 8 fire.
Bad.
Burn, heretic.
Right.
Reveal your secrets, Tax.
And as you do, blow fire out upon this kobold, from its robes is an explosion of what seems to be living rats pouring out. It seems to lose like a third, like 2/3 of its size, as they just come out in heaps and piles, holding all sorts of like carcasses of smaller creatures in their mouths and swarming absolutely everywhere. You can see Talk the Second is pretty much immediately devoured by the rapid swarm of rats that expels from Tax's body
It's
or
a
like, his
rat
robes and clothes. As Talk is sadly dealt damage and dies
Oh,
from the rats.
well.
It's a good thing the first talk is still around.
Talk the
Drowned
first.
not under the second.
Oh.
It'll have been
Uh-huh.
named the third.
Oh, I'm sure.
Third time.
All good things come in free.
Yes.
Yeah.
At this moment, also an explosion happens around you as kobolds scream madly. Some screaming tax in panic, while others screaming dragon in similar panic or jubilation. And kobold just looks around, crosses its eyes, and stabs whoever is next to it. As it seems that some sort of civil war has occurred, though nobody knows who's on whose side or why. And seemingly the kobolds are just massacring and like flipping out, and some of them like throwing themselves into the water and climbing trees and running into the holes and who knows what.
Don't worry, guys. This is perfect. Indestruction.
Yeah.
Proof revealed.
So Tobac, do you guys also? Yeah, let's put you in initiative, shall we?
We're
Should work this way.
I think my character feels that she has to interfere if only to save Verdilith, because if he dies, then the entire ritual just gets derailed.
Well, that was a good roll.
But not
I already rolled
particularly
for
motivated.
everyone, but it's fine.
All right.
Since I fixed all the macros, it should work.
I didn't realize you had rolled for everyone already.
As Tax seems to go first. And it seems that Tax has a lot of rats around him. In fact, so many rats that he has an aura. And these rats are ravenous and are eating absolutely everything next to him. Just devouring constantly. As Tax looks at Verdilith and seems not really to... like this is unprecedented. But Tax knows exactly what to do in this situation. As Tax will reach out his little hand, and following his sort of little... Again, he's completely bleached, basically, all his skin, all his scales. These rats follow the gesture to try to envelop Verdilith in a horde of madly devouring rats. As it tries to use the devouring horde.
Yeah.
Right. 6 damage and you're stunned. Save ends. As the swarm of rats basically leaves Tax and just cover onto Verdilith, beginning to eat him alive.
Oh. Dear.
As the kobolds again scream madly, all flipping out. Tax doesn't move. The orcs, they certainly are ready for this sort of thing. This seems to be just what they're here for. Indeed. And, well, Verdilith is here and granting combat advantage, so the orc will take its chance to move over and begin to lay in. Beginning with its just mad orcish howl and the savage strike. It will be at a +2.
No.
Both misses. All right, the orc failing, perhaps trying to keep a distance from the dragon still, as the rats just sort of gnaw all over it.
Huh. Right. Well, Veristrix has been watching very intently, so has had the time to to react. Seems to be a lot going on, but that's quite fine. He will take a look and see what. I just want to make sure I don't blow up everyone the same thing. He will blast away here with his dishearten, because I'm sure these orcs aren't very... Yes?
Wait. Okay, sorry. The was weird.
Okay. Did you not scroll out to see where it was?
Yeah, it's straight
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and he will fire at them. So 19 and 22.
All right.
But who are you hitting? Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes, that both hits.
So 8 damage each, and they take a -2 penalty to attack rolls.
Nice.
Further, he will use his minor action to. Let's see here. Yes, he'll use his minor action to distract attacks, which means the next creature that attacks it has combat advantage. For the end of my next turn.
Another orc will see this, and they are very fast when charging, as it happens. It'll charge.
Well, I wasn't finished with my turn.
Oh, okay.
But
And what do you want to do?
well, I was gonna move, but that can be seen as.
No, it's fine.
I was gonna like back up.
Still there. Orc doesn't care.
Yeah, I was gonna come up this way.
As it will charge over and use a second strike at the dragon that dares attack the taxman.
That misses, and like the jovial, like sigh, like uncaring, like face of Verdilith, like immediately sours deeply, and a look of malevolence and hatred like shifts onto the orc.
It seems too stupid to know anything, really. It seems fairly oblivious of its surroundings, or knowing what a dragon is. Blackguard, you are stunned. As such,
Roll a save.
make a save.
Yes.
You are no longer stunned as the rats return to tax. Welcomes them.
I think that's my turn.
Yeah, basically. Also want to take the chance to just run down. Not needing to charge, so it'll use its Savage Strike.
It's a hit.
Hit 6 damage, and it will be another right.
Miss.
So no ongoing. As it lays into Oracus.
Eat him.
Well,
Okay. I will make a Twisted Eye attack against the Savage Orc. It might be too stupid to recognize most situations, but it is going to feel a mental pain as like her like head rears around and she like jabs like her nose spike at the orc freak. That is going to be a bit more than that damage. That will be 14 damage instead.
Nice.
It's like the nose spike, just like her eyes like flare up in anger, and like the dragon like basically like collides with like his torso. Then I will expend a minor action to I was going to breathe over Verdilith and the rats, but instead it seems appropriate to breathe a cloud of poison over this orc freak, using my once per encounter Dragon Breath, 24 versus Reflex for 9 poison damage.
We picked the feet for it.
You were saying, Sheep?
You picked the feet for it.
What?
For what?
The feet to. Oh, sorry. The
he
image
wasn't-
didn't update.
Yes.
The like area didn't update, so it ended up like where Veristrix did it.
So that, and then I will convert my move into a minor action to activate Psionic Vigor, focusing her mind to shrug off anything, like even this little shitty orc and whatever it might do, granting her 8 temporary hit points. I'm done with my turn.
Yeah, this orc seems to be generally dismayed with this battle, but also...
You have a choice to make here, my friend.
Would you roll an intimidate check? It's a hard DC for your level, as the orc is also fairly intimidated by tax.
You know what? I'm gonna put 2 of my essence point on top of that, just to have some sort of bonus.
Alright.
The truth was revealed.
20.
It revealed.
The orc mumbles something in Orcish and leaves.
Alright.
Good.
Excellent.
The kobold, like a kobold, jumps and screaming "Dragon!" As it like just punches it in the face, breaking the kobold.
I was absolutely going to stomp on Kobold.
Orcs seem to be a bit higher in the hierarchy.
I like that orc. He knows what's up.
He chooses not to participate in this.
This is the problem when we go last. We end up with one of these like fucking things each. This is very suboptimal. Tyraxos does not like it, and as such, he will leave this orc. But first, he will use a minor action to activate the Shroud of Shadow, giving him a +2 to his defenses and 5 temporary hit points.
Also, try to attack opportunity him, I suppose. He leaves.
Yes, he will leave. Let me think here. Yes, I think so.
You going for that flank?
I am actually going for the taxman. I don't like him being...
Yep, that makes sense to me. You'd want to engage him.
Yep.
You do have combat advantage.
Yeah, that's the thing here.
The tax man.
Kobolds are short of 2 things.
I think that was
Death and
6
taxes.
squares, Jonas.
Where was I here?
Yeah, there. Like drawing a ruler to, like in front of taxes
One,
is 6.
two,
You'd have to draw it
three, four,
between
5. No, that's
It's 5. It just says 6 on his thing.
Yeah, it's the distance.
diagonals.
Oh, the
Yeah.
diagonals don't count. Okay. I'm not used to that reality.
Yeah, it's a
a
thing in
thing.
the campaign settings that you need to
Yeah,
switch.
my apologies.
He
thought we were on
will,
one,
he
two,
will
one.
go over here.
It's all good.
And yeah, this guy, you know, fuck him.
Smack him.
Yeah, I'll
He's
smack him.
distracted.
He is
I'm befuddling his mind.
Yes, I like that.
Alright, well, Orc Freak will try to swing its battle axe.
Yep.
With a grunt.
That is a miss.
Nice.
Now then, we will also, if this hit, we will also do a smite. So let's see if I can. Oh yeah! 20 versus AC.
That hits.
Alright. Then that is 16 damage. We will add the smite. For another 5. So he takes 21 damage, and then I will also use my my class feature to add an additional 3 damage on top of that, using my temporary hit points.
Burning them in return for damage.
Exactly.
Yeah, I should lay into the kobold. It seems I should basically like rip and tear into him. That although, like clearly doing a lot of damage, it seems to phase the kobold little, as somehow it seems the surface layer of his body has been, whatever bleaching happened to him, has probably made a lot of his nerves not really work. It also looks like the rats have sort of done a lot of damage to this kobold's body, actually.
Right.
Most of his armor is just them getting in the way. So just gets his mouth full of rats, and they're also covering him as he's within a square of.
But he's taking damage, right? Like
Oh yes.
Yeah.
He's taking.
Yeah, and 5 ongoing cold necrotic. And that is a minor move and a standard, so Tyraxos is done for now.
Sure. Tax then. Well, there's someone near him, and Tax is never the sort to move much. Perhaps it would sometimes be in attacks. No, that he's simply gonna like bleed and begin to like wave his hands everywhere, spraying the blood from his own body, which seems to make the rats completely mad. As they will then he'll shift over here, and then the rats will begin to just pour over Tilraxos in a frenzy.
He takes the 5 ongoing as well, doesn't he?
He does.
He does.
Okay.
Yes.
He'll use the rat frenzy.
Oh no, the rat frenzy.
Oh,
Fucking,
boy.
what is with
Almost
these like
crit.
super attacks against my reflex constantly? I am not approving of this. Yes, that hits.
However, everywhere, all the unpleasant cracks, full of rats now. As they pour in, and safe.
That's disappointing.
Who needs this many rats? Come on.
The rat tax. Summon forth the rat gadget.
The rat quota is very high.
Strike at.
Yeah, 22 does it.
Yeah. He has a -2, but still would hit.
All right. First 6.
Well, perhaps should I finish off the one near you, Verdilith, so you can.
You can. She shouts, "Get behind me!"
All right. He will oblige. Gets in direct view of this orc freak and attempts to blast its mind to pieces with a mind trust.
Which one is this?
It doesn't matter, but this one.
Oh, okay. No, that's not enough.
You need to update your attack roll. Not that it would help, but you have +5 these days.
Right, yeah. Well, I don't need to update my attack roll because it's added.
You have
into
more actually. You have a +6 these days because you have +4 for your thing, your feet, and then the enhancement bonus from the.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That would be 9 then, versus well, but that probably still doesn't hit. So.
That almost does, but not quite.
Okay. I'll remember that for next time. Well, all right then. He moved 3. Can't move. All right, that's fine.
We have an action point if you want to spend it.
That's all he can do.
Alright, with an action.
This orc will begin panting and like screaming as it has been wounded so much as it begins to flip out and whip itself into a frenzy. With its surge, it gets to make a basic attack.
Which hits.
It's to Verdilith, and then it gets to heal 9 hits.
Okay. And I will chop off all of my temporary HP.
It overcomes some of the damage by simply being more angry. And it'll shift away.
I
You
will.
have a thing?
Yeah, I have a thing that I wanted to use as an immediate reaction to it hitting me. So back to its normal spot. Imagine I will use my immediate reaction to make my persistent Harrier attack against him, which will be 15 versus armor class. Does that hit?
Yes, that does hit.
Okay. So he attacks and gets all buffed up and angry, and then she slips through the bonds of space and appears right here, or moves
Knocked right
and,
back down.
attacks from a flank
Yeah, I'll
him.
just turn and then
as he's hulking out. Yeah.
seems confused. Maybe this is another dragon. Vellignith.
Alright, Velignov will move oh god, there's darkness in the way. I basically want to move here, and I have just enough movement to do it.
You want a little less darkness?
That would be nice. Basically, like so. It says 6, but that's 5 squares.
It should be fine now. I think I made it do the thing, but maybe it needs to reload. Who knows?
I think it needs to
1,
reload.
2. Yeah, this goes from 2 to 4, so it's not quite.
Don't reload it. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, don't reload it. That'll break everything.
But you'll go here, provoking from the Orc Freak 2.
Frick!
Ow.
4 damage. Not bad.
It does make me bloodied, which is fine. Then Verdilith will reinvigorate himself with the Rune of Mending. Which lets him spend a healing surge for 8. And then he will attack. Executioner's called Backstabbing Taxes. Screw you, Taxes.
Down with tax.
Down with taxes.
I have combat advantage, and everyone has a +2, which includes myself. +2 to damage, that is. So that is a crit for 18 damage.
Yeah, that's maximum.
That is the maximum, yeah.
All right.
An anger feeling. That's like, what's going on here? How does
Lay into him.
Yeah, Verdilith basically runs away from this orc recklessly, disregarding the fact that he's gonna get stabbed. He trusts like his shield contraption on his tail, even though he doesn't. It doesn't deflect all the blow. It might have done something there. He hopes. Running around and then rushing into Taxus, just flailing, scratching, clawing, distracting Taxus quite a bit, which Tyraxus may take advantage of.
What rune did you activate?
The Destruction, which means you can take advantage of that right now, but before you do, let me list all the bonuses you get.
Well, I will take advantage of it.
Okay, you get a total of +5 to hit, +1 from him being next to me, and +4 from the effect of the rune Destruction.
Yes.
You get a +2, a total of +4 to damage. 2 of which come from the Rune of Mending, and 2 of which come from the Executioner's Call. So +5 to hit, +4 to damage.
Wonderful. I love this.
Yeah. Orc sees a thing. Moves down. Now has combat advantage.
It's the combat advantage Congo line.
Wings its axe.
Miss.
Verdilith, like, blinks in confusion. You stupid creatures, thinking that they could stand against an awesome, the apex predator, just as a dragon. She will once again use the Twisted Eye to attack this, and content to like bring it down and like fucking explode its brain. 24 versus armor class for 10 damage.
Yep. Certainly hits.
And because the creature is still alive, I will use my minor action to activate Battlemind's Demand. Let's see here. Did I do some fuckery? I don't think I did fuckery. No, can't. Yeah, I'll just use Battlemind's Demand to just mark this creature. Although it seemed perfectly content to fight me anyway.
Yeah, they don't seem to be smart enough for tactics, really.
Since they're not smart enough for tactics, then I will use my move action to shift here, presuming that this creature will not run away from her to attack Parastrix.
No,
That'll be
it
the end
seems
of
to
my
want
turn.
to fight you.
Good. The end of my turn.
So Raxos, you're within 5 of tax. You take 5 damage.
Sure. Well, as a minor action, he will activate Device's Reward to give himself 5 temporary hit points. He can make a saving throw if he needs to, but he doesn't. And a +2 power bonus to all of his defenses until the end of his next turn. Juice that up again. And then he will lay into tax here because, you know, death to taxes. And yeah, the orc is inadvertently helping him, being next to him, which means more damage will add on to his vengeance strike, which is just fine with him. So Let's see if I can do the hit. Yes, I believe that hits.
That does hit.
26 damage. Yes.
Oof.
That's a lot of damage.
Bloody, there's a blood sprays everywhere. Every square that he's next to is now always difficult terrain.
What?
Yeah, the rats are flipping out to the point where it's hard
it's
to
rats.
move.
Okay.
I will use an action point, and I will attack again.
Oh.
You still have a +1 to hit and a +4 to damage.
Excellent. For another hit for 25 damage.
Rat.
Just smash it. He needs to die. We need more damage over here.
He's all cracked and buckling.
I could hurt myself, but I'm wary of all of this damage coming my way.
I could hurt myself.
I could. How close would he seem to be to death?
Reasonably close, but
no. I need to be a little bit defensive here. I have done all I can. I am done.
all right. Well, there's so many enemies. Tax does not feel good, but Tax does not know what feelings are like because he doesn't feel them because he's Tax has not had an easy time in the last couple of years. As Tax is running out of cool things to do. No biggie. Really. Tax will. He doesn't like this blue one. It's very. Really, both of them have hurt him quite a lot. So, first we'll send some rats to eat the red one. Sense. Some annoying rats.
18 versus 42 is enough.
5 damage and ongoing damage as the rats sort of begin to bite and lick at the blood hungrily. And then he will use an action point.
What?
Has one. And do the same thing to Telraxos.
He's gonna love this when he comes back.
That won't hit him. He stepped away, so I figured I'd answer for him.
Yeah. Tex doesn't move, though. Tex is not a very mobile fellow.
Okay.
This guy will just go for it.
I think even with his +2 defenses, that'll still get him.
Someone give him some damage. Fine.
I'll damage him.
Okay.
The kobolds all murdering each other all around, stabbing like sling bullets, flicking off ones that hit in trees, and they seem to also quickly change sides with whoever's currently like bleeding and being stabbed and flipped around.
Right. All right. Well, let's. These orcs are gonna keep wailing, so I need to control them a bit. Gonna blast these orcs with some psychic screams. Maybe they might give up, or maybe they might. I don't know. Just not be as good as they should be. So let's see here. It's gonna put all his power into this one. I think this is an important thing to do. So that would be 11 and 19. Alright, 14 damage each, and they take -3 to their attack rolls. And then he will action point. And he's gonna hit Tax with a mind thrust.
You've got a +1 to hit.
Okay, so that is a 20 versus will.
Well, that's a lot of.
It's 8 damage.
That certainly will hit.
Okay.
Mashing into him.
He will move Let's see here. What's the range of my thingamajigger? Right, I need to move closer. He will step closer to the orc here, and he will use his breath weapon on him. That doesn't probably hit.
That doesn't hit.
It's fine. That's okay. Let's see. 2 standards, minor move. Yep, that's very Strix. He's expended all his power.
He's on the almost dead, but will still persist. I on charge. Didn't use it before, so now the Savage Strike. Another one.
Oh. Alright, 12 damage for me.
Has to bleed. Chops in with its big axe, swinging it wildly. About roaring and like dying, basically. Verdilith,
Yes.
take 5 from the ongoing and 5 from the aura.
Yes, that's a lot of damage. Verdilith is...
Damage tax.
Yeah, Verdilith is gonna use a rune of... Oh, use my daily here almost. Nah, I have a feeling we'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
I think. Yeah, alright. Although... Yeah, he's gonna use a Rune of Mending on himself. With the Rune of Protection. Which means that everyone within 5 gets +1 to all defenses, which is only Tyraxis in this case. I use a Healing Surge. Then Verdilith will lay into Taxes with the Word of Diminishment. He's gonna diminish the taxes.
Taxes are getting cut.
Oh.
I do have a bonus to damage because he hit me and attacked me.
Sure did.
So 2 more damage, 3 more damage even. That would be a 13 because I forgot the combat advantage.
It's a miss.
Alright, action point, try again. 90.
It's a miss.
What?
Yes.
Actually, I forgot the combat advantage again. 21?
21 hits.
Okay, there we go.
15 damage. That's
If it
good
hadn't, I'm
damage.
sure another bonus, huh?
That's what it feels like on our side.
No, you can
Alright.
hover over my thing to see that I didn't
No,
add it.
You wouldn't be here if I didn't trust you.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's cool.
That was kind of threatening, actually.
Alright. Yes, dictator. Yes, dictator.
He takes
Yeah.
15 damage and is
Yes.
dead.
Nice.
Oh no, you basically like. I guess you like smash its skull, like breaking the body.
Yeah, it's like a hammer hit, like using the tail as like a sledgehammer, just going straight up and then hitting the head.
It falls off and like a rat crawls out of the throat hole and like rats begin to just eat the body. Wild. Save against your ongoing though.
Also, really, he had 1 hit point.
Yes. After that mind thrust, yeah. No more rats are interested in you.
Darn it.
Good. And shift here because I can.
So the rats are dead.
This orc will attack.
Has a -3.
I know. It's on his token even.
Ah, okay.
Just a miss.
Roll.
Actually, Manaki could have moved here.
Why not?
Okay.
Verdilith.
Creature's almost dead. Or
Yes.
still a freak one? Okay. I will refrain from, I don't know, going crazy spring break. Woo! Let's use a conductive defense against the orc then, or attempt to. It's going crazy, it's roaring, but it's just an orc, and dragons beat orcs. Those are the rules. 19 versus reflex.
That hits.
It's like rock, paper,
And
scissors.
lightning damage.
Dragons, orcs,
And
kobolds.
it's like a claw. Like she like slaps the orc down into like kobolds. They fucking like go skittering and.
They were just talking now too.
Ridiculous. A move action is going to put her here, and a minor action, for which I will spend one of my power points, is going to activate Battlemind's Demand. Both of the remaining orcs are marked by me.
Nice. Ooh. Nice.
That is the end of my turn.
You cannot help make them focus on you.
Right.
Now choose carefully. One is injured and you've got a +1 against. The other is uninjured and you have +2 against.
I have AoE, by the way.
The combat advantage is more important to my damage, by far.
I see how it is.
Yep.
It gives you like
If
a
you-
+5 or something.
You know, you could have moved here, Sheep, and we could have had a beautiful thing, but now, you know.
No.
It's okay. I know how to help Torax.
Yes, Grimith understands me. No, honestly, yeah, the extra damage I get from a flank it's just I sort of need to take that. Yeah, we'll go for damage here. We'll risk it for a biscuit, and we'll vengeance strike the orc. We do have combat advantage.
No temporary hit points for you to spend.
No, unfortunately not. I'm in the aura. Does that help or?
No, it's only the enemies who are in the aura.
Oh, okay. There we go. And I do have a bad damage bonus though because I'm next to two things. See if I hit. 19 AC.
That hits.
That's maximum damage.
Crack and break. Yeah, the current orc freak still seems to think it's winning.
Yeah, well, we will do a minor action dragon breath on that dude, just to show him who's boss. Just want to hit. Whoosh.
Nice.
Yep, nice. That is 9 lightning damage as Tyraxos breathes, like just lightning shoots out, sparks everywhere, kobolds flying, screaming, and you know the orc taking the brunt of it.
Don't kill all my kobolds.
I mean, it's such a bedlam. I think like just moving, I probably step on one. You know.
Like I don't think I would waste an iota of energy into like, oh boy, I hope I don't hurt any of these kobolds.
No, Tyraxos is pretty pissed at the
property values are gonna go down. That's
it's gonna be a lot of homes too. A
lot of new opportunities for gainful employment.
Oh yes, yeah. Tyraxos is done.
Work will just bring down its axe on Tyraxos.
That's a miss.
But with the staggering like
Have
penalties.
its ability to heal a little. So. As it enrages itself.
Varg.
Well, let's
And
keep.
there's so many penalties at this point.
Yeah, let's keep power driving its mind until it gives up, perhaps.
I like this idea.
Christ.
That's definitely a pile drive.
14
like
damage.
Like Veristrix looks at him and it's just like yield.
Yeah.
It's just boring into
Or
it.
just screaming, you're like, ah! Where's it coming from? I can't
The
see.
orc was certainly screaming to begin with. I think definitely fit.
But now like blood is like pouring out of his ears and it's
Like they had enough lung full of air that they haven't stopped since combat began.
Letting the full shift here and then finish this surely.
surely.
Smack him up.
Smack him.
15.
Oh,
Hits.
Smack,
Nice.
smack. Yes.
yeah.
There we go.
Clubbed to death by tail.
You're standing in the bloody mud of the trampled top of the cobble mound. Bodies sort of littered around. It seems that kobolds, like one that was like in the process of stabbing it, the other one now just hucks it and they cry. They call out to the dragon, or perhaps the conceptual dragon that they all know
The
exists.
idea of dragon.
The idea of dragons that have saved them. as Tax is dead, and rats are sort of eating another one, and it is a bedlam, certainly.
I think Verdilith has some strong anger towards Malignith, and I think she's going to take that out on the kobolds. I don't think she's going to have a short rest until every single one of them shuts up, and so she is going to end the Civil War. Like, wading in like corpulent bulk will forcibly separate, kill, smash, anything to silence them and prevent them from moving.
Sure. They're also very stupid and do not all truly understand, like, what it is, the concept perhaps of like what she's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they do seems to be so natural to them. Like, of course this is what you would do.
Yes. So when a silence or a stop doesn't work, one kobold will be eaten, another will be like thrown into like the rest of the forest. Like, she will break up this conflict.
There's a rampage going on over there.
Yes, Tyraxus will climb up the corpses of one of the orcs and just spread his wings and just roar out that, he will have order, like, they will be quiet, and he will try to use Intimidate to just shut them up. See if I can roll better this time, otherwise the killing will continue, I'm afraid. 19?
Yeah, that's pretty good. A lot of kobolds throw themselves in the mud in front of him. As other ones just further away weep and sob, and some other ones choose to take this chance to run away. Well, yes, it seems that he has got kobolds throwing themselves. They're certainly quiet as they prostrate themselves in front of the dragon.
You could have just let them fight each other. That would mean that only the strong ones survive, and the ones either smart or quick enough to run away from Verdilith.
Tyraxus looks over to Velgnith and waves a claw and says, "If you wish them to resume their hostilities, by all means."
Now you ruined it.
He snorts.
Like off in the distance, like she just pitches one into a tree trunk.
Slowly, though, the kobolds begin to sort of their attention span is not long, and they begin to sort of forget this whole ordeal happened and find a lot of loot around.
That is our loot.
Which they then fish out other kobold knives and sling stones and whatnot that is around here.
They can have the knives and the slings. I'm interested in looting of these creatures.
Ah, yes. Sure, they don't seem to dare to touch them. On Tax, though, you find a hefty pouch. When you remove the sort of the litter of rats that seem to be birthed in it.
It's tax money.
It seems to contain 170 gold.
All right.
Beyond that, Tax seems to have been strapped into something, allowing him to carry all these rats. A magical harness of some sort.
Okay. Magical harness.
Is it specifically for carrying rats? Because in that case, I'm not interested.
No, it seems like it would make you easier to carry anything.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, when Valky gets back, maybe he can do an Arcana check.
During a short rest, if you want to hang out here.
Yes. Tyraxus will take a short rest on top of the piles.
You will find that as you do, kobolds begin to pile random crap around you.
Oh, great.
As a shrine, one comes and puts a dead mouse skull, another one some sort of wooden carved thing, some a shiny button.
Is the wooden carved thing actually a good piece of work? No.
You're not sure what it is, but someone carved in it.
Yeah, well.
Another one, has a tiny snake that it puts down there, and then tries to keep from leaving. Yeah. Though others seem to be confused as to why you're so vibrant and not pale at all.
So vibrant, that's interesting.
It's not their words, but you can figure it out after a little bit.
Right.
Do you think they've seen another dragon? A white one?
I don't know.
Manaki, when kobolds around Verdilith have been suitably either terrified away from her, or
Yes.
silent, or eaten, one of the two, she will find a place a little bit from where the fucking kobold civil war happened to lay down. If any kobold approaches her at this moment, she will eat them. No questions asked.
There will be some who try, inevitably, to come over with like random stuff and pile it around her. But
Like,
they
initial
die.
glare, which they don't respond to, because of course not, they're stupid. And then she'll eat them. No questions asked. Just,
all right. I mean, they're kind of tasty, like a little like chickenish.
Yeah.
You know.
like, as far as she's concerned, this is the prey resolving the problem for her by feeding themselves. These are the best service.
In a couple of days, you could probably just like rid the place of the population in this way.
Aren't kobolds actually not that small in comparison to our current size?
Not that small, but there's also not a lot of meat on them.
That's true.
Very
And
crunchy.
especially these ones, they seem to work to the bone to catch pets.
Yes.
The tax man.
Well,
For the man, as it were.
yes. Globberghoul, Gleib, Grubble. I forget.
What?
The orc boss, Grubble.
Burgle.
Oh, right.
You're thinking of Glabberghoul, the
Yes.
demon lord of ooze,
Yes, yes.
which I hope is not involved.
Let's hope not.
His real name is
He did it before his time.
It really was.
Oh, wait, Glabberghoul was the sentient.
Yeah, he was
No.
the friendly one with the eyes.
Yeah, he's probably not involved then. So we've saved kobolds.
Yeah, so,
Yay!
welcome back, Valky, to describe the situation. Like the Civil War has been ended. Many have not just prostrated themselves before Tilraxos, but are like building little shrines around him as he like takes a rest of like offerings of like mouse skulls and whatever. Inspection of the bodies by Tilraxos, because avaricious as dragons should be, has revealed a magical harness on Tax of some kind.
Oh,
With,
okay.
like, a pouch of like gold. Verdilith is away, and any kobolds who try offerings on her immediately get devoured.
You
Because the
know,
offering is them.
as long as they cease their annoying squabbling, Veristrix is perfectly content to stick
I think
around
for the
a bit.
moment they have, but given their attention spans, they are going to slip up.
He'll take the brief respite. That's fine.
At the moment, it's a lot of cooing as they see the drink like, "Woo."
Oh my gosh.
And like whispers of dragon. They seem to be very like reverent, really, and stepping over the bodies of their fallen siblings to give looted crap to the dragons.
They really have no idea what to do, but they just want to do something. Like it's
The dragons are amazing, and they need to be worshipped. That much they know. There's a nature to them, but exactly what that means, they have very little concept of. Indeed, they do seem again confused that you're not pale. Teach them
Yes.
that you should be pale.
that is odd.
Sense, but
I-
some of them pass out thinking about this.
Just the sheer mental strain of this conundrum just passing them out.
Contradiction.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yes, we also found a mystical magical harness that was used to carry rats, but maybe Veristrix could take a look at it and figure out what it is.
I sure can take a look at it.
Can it be adjusted to carry things other than rats?
Probably.
Let's see if it doesn't kill you by putting it on
I
first.
mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not a beast of burden, so if anyone else wants to wear that, by all means.
Yeah.
When carrying large amounts of rat,
This is my that is a natural 20. Okay. That is my Arcana check
yes,
to identify.
this appears indeed to be a harness that allows you to carry a lot more than you can normally carry.
Okay.
That's it.
Magical.
Oh, okay.
That's it. What do you mean? There are lots of places to carry heavy things that you
I
cannot
don't
normally carry.
carry anything. Pfft, I'm a dragon. I got other people to do that for me.
Then
I
you
can
will-
give this to other
kobold,
people.
Like, that's really impressive. Like, all those rats to be able to
yeah,
carry
there's so
around.
many.
I mean, you know,
Yes.
We can.
Like an impressive amount. Like that's a colony worthy of any sewer.
It's
Just on that
magical.
alone, or that kobold alone, really.
Hmm.
It's magical. It's worth a lot of money. I mean, it's a magical.
It obviously belongs to the Horde. I mean, how could it not?
Yeah.
He is interested far more in the worth than the effect.
Let's see
but
here.
nonetheless.
The muleback harness. This unadorned leather harness allows you to carry and drag heavier loads. Okay, property. When determining your normal load, heavy load, or maximum drag load, treat your strength score as 5 points higher. Yeah, that's certainly a lot of rats you can carry with that, I suppose.
It's a servant carrier harness.
Alright, make my strength, 23 for the purpose of carrying rats, I suppose. And potentially other things. Possibly useful. Certainly belongs in the Horde.
As all belonging to you, really.
Yeah, really. I accept these things as a kobold.
If you ever saw one,
Except,
the tax.
yeah, except these like kobold treasures. Like this is not impressing to the actors at all.
Oh, but they.
No, he will not. You know, he lays there resting, but he is not deigning. You know, this is not gold.
So the kobolds, it seems to be invaluable treasures.
By the point like the short rest is over, like the 10 minutes, these industrious bastards have like gotten like a decent chunk of like Tilrex's body like obscured.
Yeah.
Like,
Some of them seem to have picks, and are carrying like rocks to them, and just putting down rocks around you as well in little piles.
I don't suppose they're valuable rocks.
Appear to be mainly just rocks.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah.
Well, they have the right idea.
They do, and they can
They
dig.
seem to have picked them themselves for you.
Oh.
And surely the labor of picking up rocks is a
It's,
you know what, dragons love rocks. They love mountains, and mountains are made of rocks. So have some rocks.
flawless logic.
Yeah, there's some wise kobolds here, surely.
Here, others taking their picks and going out to get their own rocks. You know, they're going to find the ones that are the hardest to get, and the most treacherous, and then they will bring those rocks back.
I mean, that's also the right idea here. You know, the more difficult a rock is to get, the better it is.
You know that the dwarves may be smarter and better equipped, but they don't really have the right mindset. While these guys are the opposite of smart and well equipped, but have the right mindset. So maybe if we put the two together, they can work something out.
Varus will leave that to you. These creatures make him want to completely destroy their minds to an aptitude.
If the kobolds are Malignus pets and the dwarves, those golden dwarves, are Telexis' pets, it sounds like you two need to work out like some pet like cooperation. I'm with Veristrix and I'm staying the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Kobolds and
I'm sure a strict system of command could be established, perhaps.
If I have pets, I control them. They don't control themselves.
Looking at these kobolds, it can hardly be called control what they do. It's just I don't know what they're doing, but
they are
surviving
nature.
Slowly, as you sit here for like 10 minutes, you begin to all sort of, become a part of the scenery. They continue to put things down, but sort of ordinary life starts to continue a bit around you.
Yes, they've forgotten that we're here, or like we're treated like as a nice painting or something.
Oh yeah, they still look at you and fawn, but like,
But they also have business,
It's not surprising anymore. It's like, yes, they're dragons and they love us, and we love the dragons.
Maybe don't think about the kobolds as like people, but think about them as like machinery that has yet to be put to use.
Right. Yes, I think that is the right way
That's
of
what
looking at this.
everything is that isn't a dragon. That's something to be eaten or put to use.
Yeah, but like dwarves have ideas. These kobolds do not.
Yes, but dwarves' ideas can be taken from them.
A new system of calling it seems to have worked out down by the bottom of the hill, as a kobold seems to be it and be delivered to Verdilith.
Wow.
In the tax rope.
Oh god.
Verdilith is the new tax.
Verdilith finds this immensely delightful, looks at it and eats it.
Oh, it is crying and begging for Dragon to say, but it then gets eaten. And then the other ones celebrate before forgetting.
And we'll actually thank the kobolds to tell them that they did good delivering it.
Oh, they pass out. There's too much for them. They can't even deal with it.
Watching this is somehow cathartic to Verstrix.
Verdilith is actually pleased by these. This is exactly what she wanted from me.
I imagine also Verstrix looking at it, he's like, yeah, no, this confirms everything. Like, you can't, like, look at this mess.
It seems that if you reinforce their behavior, it is pretty quick to learn to, repeat it.
Verdilith, please don't eat all of them. Thank you.
The kobolds who passed out, who delivered food to her, she'll actually lift her wide head and nuzzle each of them as they lay there in their sleep. Wants to reinforce that behavior of delivering food
the
to her.
kobolds see it and get jealous.
Oh no!
They hate those kobolds now. This will cause a schism of some kind.
It's gonna be a new civil war.
And unfortunately for those kobolds, the kobolds who passed out are very close to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'll probably forget by the time she leaves.
By the time you all leave, there's going to be a national mourning.
Yeah, they're gonna build statues of
You're
us.
the reason why they laughed. Ah!
Yeah, it's gonna be a skip. That's the thing. We need to give them a mission while we're gone. Otherwise, they're gonna freak out. I don't know what will give them for mission. Maybe scout the valley for us or something. I don't know. But they're too dumb to really deliver information.
You could relocate them.
I suppose, but where do we want to locate them?
Well, I mean, if you want to liberate the caravan, why not use your supply of manpower to go liberate the caravan alongside us?
They're probably too scared to actually fight, though.
So
we could.
So they're going to be more scared of dragons because they love dragons and adore dragons than they are of anything else.
They're going to be scared of whatever is currently in their view.
Which should always be a dragon at all times.
I mean, chaos is a much better way to fight than just, fighting alone. Send them in there first, make it go absolutely crazy, and then you just, swoop in, take out what you need to take out.
We could send some of them to build some traps around the tomb, potentially.
We'll tell them that the orcs are it.
I should probably send a message so the dwarves don't kill them immediately.
Yes.
See?
I don't think you could point these kobolds in that direction.
No, they will not.
No, we would have to probably lead them there. Yeah.
And that and we're some distance away from our temporary lair at this point. I'm not sure your message would actually be able to reach.
Well, it depends on my check. How well I do. Goes from 10 miles to 1,000 miles.
Oh, okay.
Depending on how well I do. So.
I guess if we can go up to 1,000, I suppose.
If you do really well, it's infinite on the same plane. So. But yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's not necessary because these guys can't even find their way around the bush. So.
Yeah, maybe we just leave the kobolds here for now. They can probably survive on their own, I assume. They've probably done so before Tex showed up. We continue on our current quest to find cultists and madmen in towers and whatnot. And maybe we can think of a good use for the kobolds later. I have an idea, but we don't really have the location to do it. I imagine these kobolds aren't exactly the crafty, smart type that builds good traps for our purposes, maybe. But they seem very good at doing simple, repetitive tasks. Like, find something in that cave and bring it back.
But they have uses now. All of them who want to come with the dragons can come with the dragons, and we can go out adventuring together in a totally, wonderful and loving and heartfelt way.
Do you really want to go adventuring through the forest with, a horde of constantly yapping kobolds?
I absolutely do! Have you ever considered the quantitative manpower applications of a devoted horde of kobolds to do whatever four-word task you could give them, like calling one of the orcs it, or calling a cultist it, and seeing, them go. Like
just a swarm of kobolds.
Just
a kobold wave to wear down anything.
tying up an orc and pulling it back despite the orc screaming bloody murder.
And their reward is their devotion to dragons and our entertainment of their devotion.
I do feel like
honor them.
I do feel like they have neither the attention span nor the courage to really see anything like that through.
But dragons.
Yeah, I mean, we're awesome, obviously, but are we more awesome than kobolds are stupid?
Yes! How dare
Yes.
you insult me?
Yeah, that's not even a question. What? Wow. Insulted.
I'm just calling kobolds infinitely stupid.
We are infinitely awesome. Even more so.
It's like dividing by zero.
Listen,
What does that even mean?
I could spend all of my energy doing these various tasks, or I could have kobolds soften up various tasks and then make it easier for me.
I feel like dealing with kobolds would be harder than the actual task.
Well, the nice thing is that only one person has to deal with the kobolds. It's not me.
You're doing a very bad job at taking care of your pets.
I know. They're not very good pets.
Well, maybe that reflects on their owner.
And one thing we seem to have is certainly infinite draconic loyalty. At least while you're around.
The moment we leave them, they're going to revert back to the next strong force to show up, like another group of orcs.
Then we come back and kill those two.
But if we take the kobolds with us and tell us that the orcs are it, because they recognize what it is.
I'm not sure it's feasible to bring them all with us because there seems to be a lot of children and stuff in those caverns.
All of the kobolds who want to come with us.
Yes, but we can maybe bring a group of them.
The elite force of kobolds.
Yeah, consisting of all the kobolds who want to come with us. Yes.
Those you can use a sling and have a dagger or something. I don't know. I am neutral in the in this.
As Verstrix will not wash his hands of this discussion. He is those kobolds. They can stay here for all he cares, or they can come with, but he will not be the one interacting with them.
You know what? Okay. Let's just take all of them and see what happens.
Sounds good.
All right, you declare a kobold migration. Kobold gather their stuff in their hands and uproot their lives and existence to drag everything they have out of their homes. And
Again, we don't need all of them, but it can
come migrate.
No, we're taking all of them.
Okay, all right.
There's quite a few, far fewer than there were, but the dragons want them to be there, and everywhere they look, there are dragons, and this is kobold heaven, even if might not last forever.
I am
Get
so
an expendable resource of remaining kobolds.
I am so torn right now.
This is their lot and purpose in life. We are dragons, damn it. They are absolutely not dragons.
That's not what I mean. I'd imagine a young dragon would find this awesome, just having tons of purely loyal kobolds or whatever. But I, in this moment, have never liked kobolds less. I hate it when it's a palpable difficulty to communicate.
Yeah, they certainly are not good at it.
Here's the thing. After all of these years, for the first time, I'm in a campaign where we can make such fantastic use out of them because we're dragons. This is an opportunity that you don't get as an adventure.
You know, we need a kobold shaman or some a wise one or something to like, you know.
I need a translator.
Yes, we need someone.
Wise kobolds appear every now and then. Well, generally, if you leave a thing long enough, you know,
Might just
will begin
pop
to get
into
smarter.
existence.
But
If you pay Veristrix, he will be your insight.
Tax was probably their wisest kobold, and the wisest one before that was
Tax
probably
seems
killed
to
by
have
Tax.
been the wise one, indeed.
Yeah.
And he certainly was not inconsequential in his strange ways. But
Clearly not wise enough. He's dead.
Well, I mean, of course he died because he fought dragons. Like, that's how
Yeah.
that works.
kobolds are a strange lot. Generally, the more there are of them in one place, the bigger a segment of them are tolerable. Some say that there are areas with kobold hives that are so massive that they actually have like guards that go on patrols and stuff.
What a
That
bizarre
would
thought.
be a good goal.
Besides Veristrix, who better to find promised passages than all these tiny creatures to go into mountainsides? If the cultists can't provide the right answers. Get enough kobolds together, you'll form a chain link underneath all the mountains. They'll all hold hands together and show you the way.
Kobold chain.
Yeah, it's like Noah. You send out a bunch of kobolds in different directions, and the one that comes back with an olive branch is the one that found an olive tree, I guess.
That's how
Well,
trade
they
routes
probably
are
would all
created.
come back with different sorts of branches.
Yeah. So first of all, we need to know what an olive branch is, and then they have to find it. Like, it's gonna take. Might take the rest of our lives. Well, it seems we at least killed off the malignant influence of the orcs and its creepy rat tax man.
I mean, we still need to take out the rest of them, though.
Yeah, of course.
We got
and,
3 orcs.
And
Not anymore.
and apparently something is draining the color out of things. So that's weird.
Seems as you look at the taxman that he has actually had like a bleach poured all over him.
Actual
He's
bleach.
pale and yeah, like a lot of like a calcification under his skin.
No. Well,
Like it seems like a terrible sort of paint. And put on to make him.
someone likes bleach things, I guess. They're mysterious.
It's a
Very.
white sweater. Or bleached, I suppose.
Yeah, we I guess, next time.
Kobold, what do you call them? Detergent for your clothes.
Yes.
Makes your scales whiter.
Makes it yipping clean or something.
Oh, wow.
Alright, let's keep heading further into the valley. Go. Do it.
Look for
Yes, next time, though.
mad druids and whatnot.
All right. It is good. She'll leave it with a horde of kobolds in tow. Like all the kobolds, really.
That's what Verdilith said.
Yeah.
I mean, no half measures.
Hmm.
Certainly an all or nothing approach.
Can Verdilith just be prone for the entire campaign?
Put her on a trolley as to drag her.
Yeah, that's prone.
Just a wave of undulating kobolds carrying her along.
On a palanquin. She's like a slant priest. Just
I had
not even a palanquin, just a throng of bodies.
I hadn't considered it, but for the rest of this campaign, I am 100% okay with us just assuming that kobolds are beneath her, like carrying her the entire way. A carpet of kobolds.
You should have that as an encounter power. Carpet of kobolds, like shift 5 squares or something.
You know, maybe Manaki and I can homebrew something. Figure something.
Feet.
Yeah.
And no optimization guide has this, fuckers.
Exactly. Go beyond. Make our own powers. Yes.
So what have we accomplished this session?
Nothing goals-wise, but we set ourselves up. We had fun.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it immensely.
Fun is the real goal.
We accomplished almost nothing except entertaining ourselves, which is good enough.
I mean, I think that's the main goal of all of not a mechanical goal, but a goal of playing in general.
Kinda befriended the monastery, maybe. I don't know how friendly they are.
I don't think so.
Man,
honestly,
he did offer his resources. So I'm feeling that is a mutual friendship.
No, that's the step of like anyone who wants services from them purchases them, like people who go stay there or buy stuff from them. That's
yeah, we made contact, but not much more.
Right. I mean, kobolds are servants.
They are
certainly fucking gathered.
Certainly true.
Indisputably gathered.
Yeah, I think true. Kobolds are certainly servants. Yeah, that's acceptable.
You're welcome.
Barely acceptable.
Hey, now, do you want the gold or not?
If you not believe they're your servants, then we can let it stay.
I can't dispute they're not my servants, or like our servants. Like
they are not though.
Well, they're yours.
They're mine. Yeah.
Well, so that means someone has gathered servants.
Would Raktos thinks that he's done finding servants?
No.
I mean, was this my personal goal of getting servants to Tilraxos? That's not how I thought of it when I formulated it, but sure.
No, you can. I mean, I'm asking you.
No, when I formulated, I just gathered more minions to the group in general. That's what I.
Sure.
That's why I imagined.
Right. That works.
Then we did that.
I mean, personal character goals don't have to be always personal goals. They can be goals for everyone, but just personal interest in doing so.
I view the goals as something I am interested in doing.
Yeah.
It's the idea.
And sometimes they will be personal, and sometimes they will not be.
Nice.
We've set ourselves up for next time to have a vested interest in, and well, we started heading this way in part to either like locate Drew, but also find these other fucking cultists.
Yeah, I need to know where this damn cave is so I can settle there.
Because those cultists may have the information for the Promised Passage.
My Promised Passage.
And then we'll have the kobolds build a tower of their own bodies to reach the great birds.
Yes. Have a trade route of a chain of kobolds along the pathway.
We should definitely have kobold bird catchers and like train them, and they can be like pterodon riders and ride through the sky.
Yeah, kobold bird riders.
Yes, exactly. And drop rocks on people. Yeah.
Now you people are into this.
Yeah. I mean, it will take literal generations of kobolds to train them to even be vaguely competent.
Selective breeding for generations.
You then clear up one goal slot and gain 381 XP each.
381.
Wonderful. That's 381.
1,393.
Yes. Well, no, actually, yes. Yes, 1,393, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like,
well, we are less than 1,000 away from that level, at least.
Yeah, we did something.
Yeah.
We defeated taxes.
Yes, tax is defeated.
We can institute the new tax.
which apparently is in lives. And pretty high. Like 100% really.
It's been very steep so far.
I'm perfectly okay with kobolds
means
feeding other
production.
kobolds.
They will keep doing it if
Oh shit.
not stopped. Did you want to spend some healing surges before I save this?
Oh
one?
yeah, absolutely.
I
have to.
I am good to go.
I'll spend 2 more.
Oh, you took a lot of
Already
damage.
through half my healing surges.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, you're isolated out there, and got thumped a few times.
You do,
Makes
yeah.
sense. Even stunned.
Yeah, that's done. I was lucky you saved that on the first. That could have been bad.
Yeah.
Whereas big bad defender here.
Yeah, you were like chilling in the back, eating a cheeseburger or something like you.
Yeah, I mean, like, that was perfectly full until that orc fucking decided that it was time.
Yeah, my defenses aren't bad, but
It's just a lot of
They-
attacks.
yeah.
The savage orcs had like their once
Yeah.
for fight thing where they had like the 2 attacks.
And the aura was nasty as well on the rat attacks. I don't know. Tyraxus is actually quite survivable. I think for a striker he is like shockingly survivable. It's all the temp HP and stuff he can generate, which helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a bunch more survivability from just feats. Most of my feats, in fact, will go that route, I think.
Do you have feats to enhance your healing any? To like make the healing surges like not just do surge value?
You mean my healing?
Yeah, your
Last healing
mending rune or whatever it is you do.
Not that I know of. Let me take a look. I have one that let's see, where's it? The rune priest has so-called rune feats, which the more of those you have, the more they do. And there's one of them which, if I can find it in the book, what I stole while mumbling about something. Yeah, the target of your rune of mending also gains temporary hit points equal to the number of rune feats you have.
Okay.
It sounds okay. If I took like 8 feats, it would give 8 temporary hit points.
That would be nice.
But most of the other feats aren't that great.
But then they also do whatever they do, and plus 1 more temporary hit points whenever you do that other thing.
Yeah, but that would be so many feats that I really don't enjoy the look of.
I know.
Are we playing next week?
Yeah.
All right, great.
Maybe we will.
I'm out of here then. Leaving you Europeans. Go on a
See ya.
fucking world tour.
Alright, see you later, Grimith.
See you, Grim. That was nice
Thanks
to
for
see
playing.
Sure.
you. I will also head to bed. I have to get up at 5. So, thanks for the session, guys. I'll chat to you.
Yeah,
Well,
see ya.
tomorrow. I suppose it's session.
See you later, Valky.
Bye.
It's you know, I do like temporary hit points. That's one of my main DPS mechanics. So
It's too many feats though to be relevant. Like I'd have to pick like 4 feats until it feels like it would even be significant, which is like 8 levels from now or whatever.
I will, since I know that we are low on healing, I think it is a good idea to look over what, like, not just you, but like everyone can do to up their survivability a bit. If you can find things that increases your healing in some way, that would be great.
I can put out a lot of healing if I use dailies.
Okay.
Give me 1 encounter and I will heal a bajillion hit points.
Oh, that's a lot of hit points.
Like I can use my normal daily, which makes all my healing do +4 extra. And then I can use my utility daily, which lets me let 2 people spend healing surges and 3 people get +5 to AC. Meaning I can do my 2 minor action normal heals. I can do that daily to give another 2 healing surges, and I can have all of those heal with +4. So in theory, I can do a lot.
Sure.
I just don't want to do that unless we have a really different.
That's fine. I'm just, saying that I know for clerics there's like healer's lore or whatever that adds like your wisdom score to healing. I don't know what is available for the rune priest at all, but I'm just saying it's probably pretty nice to have because we're getting hurt a decent chunk each fight here, even with defenses being pretty high. And I'm gonna pick up like since I have access to paladin powers because I am a paladin class technically. I'm gonna pick up the virtue utility power next time I get a utility power, which is pretty good. It allows me to spend a healing surge to get that much in temp hit points.
Okay.
Which is a very good opener because that gives me a bunch of temporary hit points, and I will most likely use at least one surge per encounter anyway. So it's just really good. I have a lot of surges.
To bed, guys. Good night. Thanks for the game.
Alright.
Good night.
We're gonna stop it here. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next week.
Bye.